Perhaps we need some outside universal threat to make us recognize this common bound. I occasionally think how quickly our differences worldwide would vanish if we were facing an alien threat from outside this world.
Good evening and welcome to Spaced Out Radio tonight. My name is Dave Scott, and gosh damn, we couldn't have a better guest on tonight because there's major news coming down in the UFO world right now as we speak. Courtney Marchesani will be here momentarily, but first let us say hello to each and every one of you as we kick things off tonight. We have Tim Mothman and his goatee sharing the gold medal, T-Bone with a silver, Necessary Dialogue with a bronze medal tonight. Kitty Caddywhack and Mel WD-40 is here lubing us up for tonight's show because you can't talk UFO files without being nice and lubed. So thank you, Mel. Don't forget to give yourself a nice shot as well. Race fan, how you doing? Thanks for coming on in. Frankie B, good to see you as we start off our roll call here. Thunderhead, what's happening? Stephanie Kenny Blankenship and Kathy Evans, thanks for coming on in. Shane Gord and Mama Catherine, there she is. Oh, she's just an apple in my eye. I love you, Mama Catherine. I hope you had a great day. I know you love Courtney when she's on, so it'll be good tonight. Promise you. Moving on down, we say hello to Jaquetta. Jaquetta will be signing autographs after the show. Line up to the left of the studio, if you don't mind, to the left of the studio. Road Flare and Millennium, my man. How you guys doing? Thanks for coming on in. Reaper, welcome to SOR chat as we continue on with our roll call here. And who is next? It's Tina Smith, everybody. Tina Smith, maker of stuff. How you doing? Jeff Steve Garvey is here. He'll hit a home run for you. Kurt M., nice to see you. As we scroll on down on our roll call and say hello to Walter Kotubinski. Good to have you here. Mystery Forms, welcome to SOR chat. And who is next? Well, it's D. Henderson, everybody. D. Henderson will be signing autographs after the show as well. Line up to the right of the studio, if you don't mind, to the right of the studio. Moving on down. Pam Harris, how are you? And who is next on our list? Well, let's take a look here. It is Shadow Feather. Thank you for joining us. Noble Patrick, good to see you. High Noon, thanks for coming on in. Luscious Jules, nice to see you. Aussie Tiger and Mr. Cowley, nice to have you both here. Ginger Turtle, how you doing, my friend? Woo Poo, how you doing, my friend? As we continue on with our roll call. Pam Harris, thank you for kicking off the Super Chat tonight. The Super Chat is a wonderful way to support what we do on this show on a nightly basis. So thank you very, very much for the love. Greatly appreciated. Charlene Skywalker, how you doing, my friend? As we continue on with our roll call here. Up next, who do we have? Stargazer, what's happening? What's happening, Stargazer? I think we're caught up right there. Oh, Matthew Goodka snuck in. I raced through that. Wow. I'm so excited about Courtney being on. I raced right through that. And, well, I guess we just sit here. Good morning, Skip to my Lou. How you doing? I'm getting my hair cut and my beard trimmed tomorrow. 10:15 my time. I'm going in for a hair facial. I am. Nothing you can do. Time for the beard to get a little shorter. Let's get the radio side going. Hello and welcome to the radio and podcast side of Spaced Out Radio tonight. My name is Dave Scott. We are going to get into the latest UFO news. Courtney Marchesani is here, citizen journalist, researcher, experiencer, psychologist. What else can we title her? Author, Alaskan. Yeah, we could go everywhere with her. Montanan, Pennsylvanian, traveler. Because she's always somewhere else. She's like, where in the world is Carmen Sandiego? She really is. All right, let's see if we missed anybody here. No, we're caught up. We're caught up. Let's get everybody in here because it's almost time to go here. The super chat is open. It's a wonderful way to support what we do on this show on a nightly basis. And don't forget to shop at our Spaced Out Radio store. Why? We do not have ugly swag, people. No ugly swag. So make sure you check it on out. It's really good. I promise you. You will never, ever look ugly in our stuff. Where is it? Come
on. Are you ready to hear your mystic voice of the night?
It's time to wake up.
He's here. Be quiet. He's ready for you to listen. Let's point our ears towards the really happening news. We're together, friends. It's time for Spaced Out Radio with Dave Scott.
From the mountains of central British Columbia to you listening around the world, this, my friends, is Spaced Out Radio. I am your host, Dave Scott, sitting in the captain's chair of SOR headquarters. We welcome you to tonight's show on our terrestrial affiliates around North America, digitally on every major podcast network. Our website, spacedoutradio.com. We have a plethora of features for you. Rock out to Bumblefoot. Read the news wire. Check out our swag as well. Follow us on X at Spaced Out Radio, Instagram at Spaced Out Radio Show, and on Patreon in the Space Travelers Club. Tonight's show is brought to you by Caribou Con. Go to cariboucon.com. Get your tickets for the best paranormal event in British Columbia this year, September 18th through 20th, in the heart of the Caribou. We are getting deep into UFO news. It's breaking all day, all night. Courtney Marchesani is going to be here momentarily to break it all down for us. Then in hour number 3, Swamp Dweller will join us for a creepy story. Weird news of the week, as Grant Baker will be here for Terry Hall, who is taking the night off. He's out gallivanting with Jeremy Corbell, with Tim Senor, with George Knapp, and the rest right now down in Oregon. So Courtney is here. We're going to bring her in here momentarily. She is a UFO experiencer, researcher, and successful author whose work focuses on the emotional, psychological, and spiritual impact of anomalous encounters. Known for her thoughtful and deeply personal approach to UFO phenomena, Courtney explores how extraordinary experiences can transform consciousness, mental health, and human perception. Her research blends firsthand experiencer testimony with trauma studies, intuition, and consciousness, making her one of the more unique voices in modern UFO discourse. She is also very well in tune with what's going on. She is highly sourced, and she is a major player in what we do here on Spaced Out Radio. Courtney Marchesani, it is great to have you back on the show. How you doing, my friend?
Hey, it's great to be back. Oh my gosh, news is breaking right now. I'm sure everybody in the chat is like totally on top of it. But if you're not, we're going to break some news on SOR tonight. Wow.
Well, I don't know where you want to start. Like literally, I was researching, coming into the show, and just a few minutes beforehand, because I had to do a radio hit on WPHT to talk about some UFOs. And then all of a sudden, it was like being in the ring with Mike Tyson. These news blows, these news punches were coming left, right, and center, just hammering it out. And I think we have an intelligence war going on right now because of UFOs involving the CIA.
Right now. Absolutely. I mean, it is unbelievable. There has been a CIA whistleblower that went to the Senate Homeland Security Committee hearing today underneath the COVID response. And he basically said that as a dual role, serving in the office of DIG, which is the Directors Initiative Group underneath ODNI and Tulsi Gabbard. He served a dual role as a DIG and as CIA, and said that the UAP whistleblowers were spied on illegally, and that the DIG's investigations into the whistleblowers were all monitored illegally. So just huge damning report to Rand Paul's committee today on UAP whistleblowers. They also include testimony about COVID and anomalous health incidents, what we know as Havana syndrome. But of course, my ears picked up on the UAP whistleblowers immediately in his statements. And his name is, I will get that for you, Erdman. His last name is Erdman. James Erdman III. So he just basically reported all this today. So I'm surprised there aren't shockwaves from the UAP community. I have to give credit to UAP James, who posted the actual soundbite from the committee hearing, which is how I picked up on it. Great job, UAP James on X.
Well,
but just unbelievable.
Why don't we play that clip right now?
Do you have it?
I do have it right here. I believe this one
or the DIG. I am a career CIA operations officer, and as you mentioned, I was on joint duty assignment at the Office of Director National Intelligence Directors Initiatives Group, or the DIG, between March 2025 and April 2026. I was responsible for leading the DIG's investigation into COVID origins, anomalous health incidents, and unidentified anomalous phenomena. I'm here today to discuss the COVID cover-up, the national security implications associated with the DIG's investigative findings, and CIA refusal to comply with lawful oversight, as well as how we remedy these problems. The CIA illegally monitored the computer and phone usage of DIG personnel, their investigations, and contact with whistleblowers. These were Americans being spied upon illegally while executing duties directed by the president and under the authority of the Director National Intelligence. You must be willing to pull the purse strings and, if necessary, convene another church committee. The results of our investigation would have been impossible without whistleblowers willing to come forward. They are indispensable agents for reform.
There you go. What do you think about that, Courtney?
I mean, these are things that we've been saying in the UFO community for a while now, and people just didn't believe us. I mean, I made a post on X saying nobody believed us, but people have been talking about FISA warrants, spying on their phones. Multiple researchers and journalists have said this and made claims, but to hear it being said by somebody who served in the DIG office, that gives it elevates it to another level of concern for the whistleblowers, because as you've heard me talk about whistleblowers and the dangers of being a whistleblower, the DIG office brought whistleblowers in, I believe it was last year, under a new initiative and to some degree, maybe under false pretenses, to have them report about their experiences. Matthew Brown went on Weaponized. He talked about his experience going in good faith to the DIG offices. He talked about his experiences there. He even said in his interview he felt like things were being recorded. So I feel like Matthew Brown has been completely vindicated by this whistleblower coming out and saying the dig investigations there was surveillance the whole time. So I think it's a vindication, but I also think it's very troubling because the whistleblowers were invited into that dig office in order to help stand up protections. Matthew Brown talked about how they tried to kind of convince him to come in as a federal statutory whistleblower to present his case again through official channels. And he said he didn't really see the upside of that or the benefit. So what we're seeing is whistleblowers really being messed with on every level. And these supposed good faith efforts to have them come in and trust the system, this just shows that it's contradictory. And the whistleblowers have been right to be suspicious this whole time. I mean, it's crazy. It's unbelievable. I can't even believe this went public through a hearing.
Well, let's take this one step further, because we are hearing this evening that the CIA has just raided Tulsi Gabbard's office. The CIA basically going through and hauling out dozens of boxes, which includes files on the JFK assassination, MK Ultra, the CIA mind control operation, which she was in the process of declassifying. This is not very good if the CIA did this. We're still waiting for confirmation on it, but Anna Paulina Luna has said that the documents have been seized.
She said that she walked it back a little. She said they weren't raided. ODNI had custody over them and that they were removed by the CIA. So she deleted a post that she put up immediately. I didn't get to see it, but people have been commenting on it. She's come out now in just the last, I think, half hour and said that ODNI had custody of the boxes. CIA did remove them, and she's demanding that they be returned within 24 hours. So I guess the word raid was a little loaded, and maybe too much of a loaded term, but regardless, you're talking about the CIA, which is below the office of the Director of National Intelligence, right? Tulsi Gabbard oversees the intelligence agencies as its main director. So that part just doesn't make sense to a lot of people. People are questioning it, thinking it's false, fake news. And so I'm not sure what the deal is, but we'll have to wait for more confirmation, especially from Tulsi Gabbard. It would be nice to hear from her, to hear what she has to say about this. And I heard it was 40 boxes. Is that what you saw? 40 boxes of files that were being declassified by Tulsi Gabbard.
Here's the one thing that I think we need to realize. Okay, this is more than just about the UFO files being released this past Friday. This is about future drops. This is about a war going on, in my opinion, not to sound dramatic, like we need another war, and I'm not trying to throw out that term just sensically to desensitize anybody. Okay, but we have an intelligence war going on with the conspiracy club of Anna Paulina Luna's, with the DIA, with the Secretary of State, and everybody who wants to bring forth many more files on UFOs. But it doesn't seem like the intelligence agencies want to play ball with this, Courtney, because they've been used to getting their way for so long.
What is suspicious, and I totally agree with you, is that the MK Ultra hearing that they had set for, I believe it was last week, was delayed, right? So they put it off. They had their various reasons. So they're putting the MK Ultra hearing for another day. And then in the meantime, while Tulsi Gabbard is declassifying files on MK Ultra, which we've been told, anybody who lived through the late 90s saw President Clinton come out and say, we've released what files we have, the rest were destroyed. So now, how does, in this secrets task force, how do 40 boxes of files of MK Ultra seem to materialize, right? Because we've been told that they were destroyed, and what they had been released, and there was no more. So that's suspicious to me that the hearing was delayed. It was put off. They they rescheduled it. And in the meantime, while these files are going to Gabbard, they get removed from our office by the CIA, and the CIA ran the MK Ultra program. So yeah, it's suspicious. They have a lot to answer for right now, and they better really quickly.
How do you think this is going to affect future drops of UFO files?
I think you're 100% correct that it's going to affect disclosure, and all of the vein of research or files that might have been disclosed or declassified through MK Ultra. And MK Ultra, there is an offshoot in UAP studies to MK Ultra. People who have had certain types of what they would call psychological operations run on them, who have had contact experiences, have described psychological operations. So it would affect future drops in that way if they held stuff back, or if they subpoenaed certain documents. I mean, we've seen that the whole time through the UAPDA when they had this records release where they wanted different intelligence agencies to release what they had on the UAP issue going back 25 years. It was an automatic release. And then the intelligence agencies that are responsible for those files have discretion over whether they release something or whether they hold it back, but they have to basically define the terms of why they're holding it back from a public release. So we have seen that before where things have been held back. So I think that's how it'll affect future drops. It's the intelligence communities that will seize documents because they don't want them to find the light of day. And they'll say it's because of national security or sources or methods. That's always their reasoning.
Let's take a step back here for a second, because Friday was a major day for all of us in the UFO world. We didn't get the actual disclosure of aliens, crash retrievals, spacecraft. The president didn't come out and say anything. But I personally, and you know me more than probably anybody in this field behind the scenes, you know how negative I have been with all of this. Through the congressional hearings, I have been Mr. Negative, Mr. Bah Humbug. But I got to admit, Courtney, I was very excited. I was very excited to see the notes and the stories and the reports, especially around NASA, because it just gave me more fuel to my fire to absolutely
I know. I
carve.
knew you'd be tickled.
I know when you were reading
I
that,
knew
you're
you-
probably like, Dave is like ringing the bell right now.
Well, here's what I wanted to ask you personally, because I got a call from somebody we both know, and it was like, don't get too excited. I hate to be a buzz killer, but this was already covered. And so that NASA recording was not made public before, was it? I have never heard it or encountered it, about the Apollo missions and the debris field and the luminous tentacles coming off the object. Had you heard a NASA recording before on that transcript?
Yeah, not those particular ones. I actually did voiceover work for a video that people can watch on our YouTube channel provided by Darcy Weir a number of years ago, where he did a story about NASA's cover-up and all of these files of astronauts and testimony, and even audio testimony of them talking about UFOs while the rockets are going up, while they're in space, while they're getting close to the moon. I will say this: I never heard the Neil Armstrong Buzz Aldrin one before on Apollo 11.
Okay. All right. I wanted to ask you that because I had never run across the NASA recording of the Gemini mission. So I was like, when people said this is already out there, I was like, how could we have not encountered the Gemini recording being
But that-
released by NASA? So I think, go ahead.
I'm sorry for cutting you off. That's what I had been saying for years, that this information was out there, and all you had to do was Google it. and it would come up. And, I think the thing that bugs me the most about it was how naive and stupid NASA thought we were. That they could have all
Yeah.
these files out there and still be in complete denial. It's like the cheating wife or husband that is caught at a dinner table with their mistress. Okay. And the other spouse comes up and says, "Who is this?" Well, who's who? I don't see anybody. Well, the person right
Funny
across
that,
from the table, you know?
yeah,
Oh,
funny
I
you,
know
you
there's
should
no one
mention
there,
that.
right? I mean, that's
Yeah.
how stupid it was getting, but that's how they treated us.
Yeah, well, I was like you. I felt like giddy. It felt like this huge buildup. It felt like all we've been working for, for the last decades. And I felt a certain amount of pride too, that there was a there, and it was important for all of us to have that day, that disclosure date. Now, that being said, people immediately were like, this is bull pucky. This is stuff that's already been out there. And so I was like, I heard all that, but it didn't diminish my hopefulness going forward. Now, today, I feel a little bit differently after the MK Ultra files are, being removed from Tulsi Gabbard's office. Like, that makes you definitely perk up your ears and go, what the heck is going on now? Is this going to be an attempt to hijack, further releases? I think that there are people who are working very hard for this. We've been told the 46 videos are coming out in the next 30 days in the next round of the release. So if that doesn't happen, then yeah, we should all be very upset. But I think it will still, don't you?
I think we're in a wait and see approach. And we also have to look too that for us in the UFO community who have given our lives to trying to bring this research out, we are well ahead of where the mainstream media is in this game. The mainstream
Yeah.
media is still crawling. We are in full sprint. We're running marathons while they're still learning to try and stand up and take baby steps with this. I think when the media catches up with knowing what questions to ask, because there's going to be a lot more UFO reporters coming out. It's not just going to be Ross Coulthart or George Knapp. I mean, you look with Fox News, Peter Ducey is starting to become the UFO reporter for Fox now. Okay. We're going to
Yep.
see a lot more, which means as they get warmed up, the journalists, that is, get warmed up and start taking in more knowledge, they will be able to ask more pointed and proper questions to keep the subject moving forward, which is a good thing. I also think that this release, as we got about 90 seconds to go here, Courtney, I think this release was to try and ease it into the public. They knew that if they hammered right off the bat, I mean, you remember just a couple days beforehand, this gentleman named Perry Stone, a televangelist, came out and said that a bunch of religious leaders were told by intelligence officials to prepare their congregations for some sort of announcement about alien life, and this would affect them. So I think there's gamesmanship really being played here. What says you?
Yeah, I think it's definitely brinksmanship, and I can go into it after the break and tell you why. I think it's brinksmanship. I'm stumbling. Brinksmanship.
I think so. I think so. I didn't understand
Yeah.
a word you just said there, but you know what? It sounded good nonetheless, and I got your point, which is always, always good. I mean, maybe we're learning new English here because the aliens are trying to teach us their language, Courtney.
Brinksmanship is a military strategy, and so I'll talk that analogy and why I think that's what's being used by our own researchers and reporters and the government's response.
All right. Courtney Marchesani is here. We're breaking down the UFO files. What now? Where do we go from here? If anybody is going to know, Courtney is going to know. And that's why I love it that she will come on this show at any time to talk UFOs with all the Spaced Out Radio listeners and keep us well informed of the latest and greatest in the UFO story. This is Spaced Out Radio. The second half hour is next. All right, we're clear.
The Cuban Missile Crisis was the first use of brinksmanship.
I'm going to have to look that up. Brinksmanship?
BRINKSMANSHIP. Brinksmanship. It's a real word.
I'm looking it up right now. It's a new word for Dave, and you know I like a good new word every now and again. The practice
It's
of
appropriate for what we're about to discuss. You have to know it.
Brinksmanship is the practice of pushing a dangerous situation right to the edge of disaster in order to force an opponent to back down or make concessions. A classic example, the Cuban Missile Crisis, when the United States and the Soviet Union came dangerously close to nuclear war while trying to pressure one another into retreating. Nice. Nice.
How's that for some knowledge? Some just
I like
off the
it.
top of the head knowledge.
I like it. I like it. It's good stuff. It's good stuff.
I'm glad that you were excited about the first drop. I'm glad to hear that.
I very much was. And that is very abnormal for me because I'm usually Mr. Negative on this. Jorge, how you doing?
You have to allow yourself a little bit of joy.
Honest Content, how you doing? I think what it was the day before, I was like, okay, UFO files may drop tomorrow. It's May 8th. They may drop. Maybe I should get up early in the morning. But I'm like, no, you have your daytime job. You never know if Dr. Jekyll or Mr. Hyde is going to be at the office that day, which causes you stress. Do you do that? Because you're going to be overtired. And then it was probably at about, I think it was about 10 o'clock that night, the Thursday night show. I just said, screw it. I'm getting up. This is what we do here. I can't be that media out. I've missed too many of these, and I can't be that media outlet anymore that misses it. And we topped out at 1,100. By the time I had to go to work, we had 1,159 people listening live, which is
Here,
pretty
I thought
good.
you were sleeping. I had no idea. You should have reached out to me.
Well, I didn't know you were awake. I went on the air at 5:30.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
I got up at 5 my time, which was 9 East Coast time. So they had already dropped and been on for like 45 minutes. But as soon as I got on, I was like, I started posting stuff, and the NASA thing was incredible to me. I'd never heard it or seen the transcript, so that was new. I guess Timothy Good wrote about it in one of his earlier books, but that's where I got to at the end of the day. Nobody who is not in UFOs has seen any of that information, and it's coming from the government. So in my mind, I was like, okay, that's confirmation, right? We're always talking about this confirmation versus disclosure versus the whole enchilada versus NHI versus nuts and bolts. So I felt to myself like this is a confirmation outside of the UFO community for everybody. So they get to have their first steps into the documents, some of the files, some of the videos. I was surprised at all the Middle East videos during wartime. Yeah, during wartime that they've released. So that was very interesting and intriguing.
We'll get into all of that here in about a minute. And, the big focus going into hour number 2 is what to expect next.
Okay.
Yeah.
I'm going to go get some water. I'll be right back.
Yeah. Sounds good. Honest Content. How you doing? Pix, it's been a while. It's nice to see you here. Christy, or are you going by Christ? Christizing? Welcome. Aussie Ange, how are you? Edward Trowell on Facebook, nice to see you. Benno, thanks for coming on in. UFO Sarah, how are you? I watch your content. I do. Secretly, I do. I don't tell anybody, UFO Sarah, but I do. I watch your content.
What's up, UFO Sarah? What's up? What's up? What's up?
Here comes the second half hour of Spaced Out Radio tonight. My name is Dave Scott. We appreciate you tuning us on in as we have Courtney Marchesani breaking down the latest and best news in the UFO world since the files came out this past Friday. But first, I want to remind all of you that if you missed portions of this show or others, check out our free archives on YouTube or any major podcast network. Our website, spacedoutradio.com. We have a plethora of features for you. Rock out to Bumblefoot, read the news wire, check out our swag as well. Follow us on X at Spaced Out Radio, Instagram at Spaced Out Radio Show, and on Patreon in the Space Travelers Club. Here comes Courtney Marchesani. We're going to get right into it in the UFO world. Courtney, thank you so much for being here.
Hey, I'm so happy to be back. And so you had asked me before the break about kind of this, you alluded to a little bit of a war that's going on, right? Or a push or a pull. Wasn't that what you were saying?
An intelligence
And
war.
I agree with you. We've always heard about this internecine warfare between the different groups, like the FBI and the CIA and all these various divisions, like the DIA, which supposedly had like its own psychic spy program and, and soldier training. So it's like they all have their own compartmented, SAPs and programs. So they're surf turfing over their own surf turf and others, turf to protect what their secrets are. So I do think we're seeing this internecine warfare a little bit rising up over what gets released. I also think the added element that I was alluding to before we went to break with the brinksmanship is the people on our side, the UFO community. There are people who in our community who have developed sources of their own through whistleblower testimony, various evidence, and they're bringing out what they have right now, kind of pushing that boundary with the government, saying, hey, release what you have. I just watched Sleeping Dogs, Jeremy Corbell's new movie, and I see that brinksmanship, and the timing of the movie it's not a coincidence. It's being timed in order to warn and signal to the government, look, we have 7 hours of conversations between these individuals talking about NHI and craft. We have all these videos that we have. So that's another form coming from the citizen journalism movement that I see totally playing out right now.
I think it's absolutely great that we see it playing out. And you know what? There's going to be some fight back. What do you think the intelligence communities do not want released? I mean, it's easy to say alien contact. It's easy to say Roswell or crash retrievals, but it goes deeper and beyond that, Courtney. What are you hearing?
They don't want the legacy program and the monies that have been spent on R&D that have gone to contractors, private companies and corporations to come out. They don't want the amount of money that's been spent to come out and why the DoD never managed to balance their budget. They don't want the protected royalties or intellectual property to come out because those things could potentially be seized upon, like we've seen in the UAPDA with eminent domain. It didn't go through, but it's still out there. So these are things that the corporations or the contractors do not want to come out with disclosure. Now, Danny Sheehan covered this story a couple years ago and said that they were trying to negotiate with the contractors. And you see some of that. You see some of that written in like historical documents by people like Jake Barber, who talk about there being the soft side to the legacy program, wanting to bring some information out to show some of this exists, but not all of it, because of the potential criminal activity. That's what they don't want to come out, because they don't want it to be prosecutable. So people want amnesty or they want immunity. We've talked about that before. So those are the things they don't want to come out, because they don't want to be put in any kind of legal jeopardy.
That would make sense. But do you think it goes a little bit beyond that for programs like My Labs, MK Ultra, even going as far as, we hear about this alien hybridization program that's allegedly taking place? I mean, nothing's off the table right now in my eyes, Courtney. What are you hearing?
I've said this before. I was astonished when I watched the hearing with Michael Schellenberger, Mike Gold, and Lou Elizondo, when I think it was Nancy Mace who asked all of them, and you and I talked about this back then. They were all very well informed on these issues. The Congress was. They prepared themselves and they asked, have you ever been aware of a hybridization program? And they all said no. So I don't think we're going to see experiencer issues come up into disclosure. And the only reason I say that is because it would be a civil rights crisis and nightmare for them, like MK Ultra. There were testimonies and people who came to hearings about MK Ultra back in the 90s and reported their stories. I see those same people like Kathy O'Brien, who wrote Transnation, Transamerica, with Mark Phillips, and she's saying, I'll testify, but you don't see it happening. You don't see them actually calling her to come in, even though she had a legal case with her daughter, and her daughter was taken from her and kept from her from a period of time for national security. It was a real legal case. Once again, John Burroughs had a real legal case. His health records were in the Condon report. He had to get access to his own records so he could have a life-saving medical surgery. So these are the kind of things that they don't necessarily want to disclose because there's a cost to them, especially when you start talking about whistleblowers, loss of wages, loss of security clearances. There's too much for them to lose. It would be a bankrupting issue. But I agree with you. I don't see those things coming out. I think that they are off the table, and they are off the table because certain people have told us there is a moratorium on abductions. There's a moratorium on experiencers' civil rights issues. There's no palette for that in DC. So I think that probably stands. I think they want to get the nuts and bolts stuff first. And that's pretty much what Carl Nell has said. He said that in his sole presentation last year.
Isn't that taking a step back, though? Because nuts and bolts was the big thing from about 2017 when the New York Times article came out to probably about 2 years ago when we started using the word aliens or NHI and summoning and, whatever Skywatcher was changing the name to on that day, because it always seemed to change. But, I say that sarcastically. But weren't we beyond the nuts and bolts?
Well, I was just talking about this Skywatcher thing earlier because I think what they really did was broke through a lot of what we've seen in the military, in SAPs, in things like Stargate, in these rumored SAP programs where they're using psionics, and they brought that out into the public. So I actually thought that was good because it married not only the nuts and bolts and their dog whistle, this electronic signal that they have that brings in NHI or a craft with 100% accuracy, but they also brought in the neuromeditative part of it, which is very woo to some people, but it's really just CA5, right? It's what Greer has always been talking about. So I'm not taking away anything that they contributed to the field, because I think they did level it and allow for those more untraditional experiences. I just don't think that Congress will be willing to go there with MK Ultra. With MK Ultra, maybe they'll cross over into UAP, but I'm skeptical. I just don't, since they've been so unwilling to take on experiencer cases, I don't see that happening in disclosure. But maybe we'll see. That's where I'm more negative than you are, I think, right now.
Well, I'm going to go sidebar it here and get a little negative for a second on Skywatcher. Skywatcher, for the amazing dream team that they had of people, they didn't impress me. They didn't impress me at all. And let me tell you why. To me, and this is just my opinion, and people may not like what I'm going to say, but I'm going to put it out there. They took every piece that everybody in ufology had been working on, whether it was summoning or CE5, which Greer calls it, whether it was the names of the craft and changing them to be what they wanted them to be. You know, like it was almost like they had some sort of authority that they were going to be doing this. And I think a lot of the things they had done, I don't want to use the term had been stolen from ufology in the past and just rebranded under Skywatcher, but it felt like they were trying to brand something that had been there a long time and claim it was theirs. And I always thought that was kind of bogus and very contrived.
Okay. Well, I think where some of that might be coming from is because they had 5 years, right, before we even heard about Skywatcher, where they were doing studies and whatever. And they had been on some of their leadership had been on other programs before. And so some people say that during those other programs where they were under possibly government or private contractor, either way, that they came across some kind of tech or signature or some kind of information where they went and took that and then started Skywatcher off of it and built, their systems based off of whatever they learned in their former studies. So I understand your argument, and I can see where you're coming from. I think that they did the taxonomy. That was novel. They also did a neuromeditative approach, which they documented. And I think that the data is really the most important thing. But because they haven't been able to produce that final report and their final series, we don't know what the result was or what the data says. So you're just kind of left hanging, wondering why not. Now, you and I both know that Gary Nolan is writing a paper potentially, so that might finish that or wrap it up. But who knows how long it'll be for that to come out. So there are probably going to be a whole bunch of other things coming out in the meantime that kind of surpass whatever that might be.
Well, in regards to the data, there's not a lot of people who are doing data. Like, for instance, for people who were, such as myself, I've done it, the summoning aspect. I could save you $3,500 in a weekend with Dr. Stephen Greer by telling you how to do it very simply. And I'll give it up right now. Go sober, meditate, let your eyes find a place in the sky that you keep looking back to. Clear your heart, clear your soul, and just say, hey, my friends out there, would you like to show me where you are? And you keep repeating that. Now, you will get bored because it doesn't take 5 minutes or 6 minutes. Sometimes it doesn't take an hour. It takes longer. But when you do that and you build that connection, you may not get it the first night. You may not get it the second, but you may get it the third. And then it becomes easier and easier. That's how you do it. Completely free. I just saved you $3,500 and a government report from Skywatcher. And anybody can do it.
There you go. I'm still going to be waiting for the paper from Gary Nolan. And when I read it and when I find it, I will update you on what the findings were.
And I'm not saying that as a shot to you. I'm saying that as a shot to the community, that they're making it like that all of this stuff is absolutely glorious. You can't be a citizen of the world like you or me, Courtney, in order to try and make this happen. You got to be part of the military. You got to be part of the intelligence community or the scientific community to make it happen. No, anybody can do it. Anybody can.
I love that. I love that. And I love that that message is so direct because so many people are really hooked into hearing it, from the government or hearing it from the scientists or hearing it from, people like Skywatcher who have data. So I think it's good to remind and reaffirm that it doesn't matter. People have been having these experiences for much longer than all those other things or companies. So it's a good point. It's a good reminder.
Let's get right to the other aspect of all of this. Okay, as we lead into hour number 2, we see a lot of the politicians still trying to push, whether it's Luna, whether it's Burchett, whether it's Burleson. They're the big 3 in this now. Nancy May seems to have, taken a small step back for right now. Tulsi Gabbard is jumping on the bandwagon with this. Are we seeing rogue politicians regarding this subject because it is the same politicians all the time? Or is this story really gaining momentum on the Hill?
I think it's definitely gaining momentum, but you have your like core forerunners who have been there the whole time, like Tim Burchett. He's been on the committee on the oversight for the first hearing with David Grush, was instrumental in bringing him about, into the hearing. He was obviously good friends with or built a relationship with Jeremy Corbell and George Knapp, who he cited routinely. So he's been a mainstay. He started the caucus, got approval for the UAP caucus. He has he stepped back a little bit in some of the hearings. He wasn't the ranking member on some of the other hearings, but he's been a mainstay. So Luna has obviously been somebody who came into the field as like the freshman and was tasked with doing UAP investigations. She's another person who is a rising star, who's been through all the hearings, has been involved with the caucus and receiving testimony and grappling with the skiffs and the people and the hostile witnesses. So she's been also a mainstay. And then you have these other people like Moskowitz, who was involved with the first hearing and was aware of the Elgin Air Force Base incident that Burchett and Luna were involved in when they had a witness who came to them and gave them information. And there are other people who have stepped back, like Raskin. He's completely removed himself from the UAP issue. AOC completely removed herself from the issue. And these other people are stepping up. So I think it's the momentum, but I also think it's the interest, public interest. People are probably getting the constituents are probably demanding that their representatives step up and help out. And I think some of it is because some of these people have had experiences. They're not out, they're not open, but we've routinely heard about people in Congress who are interested in this issue because they've had personal sightings or experiences, or both.
Where is the angst coming from? Is it really coming from President Trump? Or is he just the guy saying, well, I'll just do it just to see what happens, and allowing these files to come out? Like, what do you think is truly happening? Because I don't think we're in a disclosure movement. I think we're in a confirmation. I've been saying, you've heard me, Courtney, you and I have been talking on this show for over 4 years now. You've heard me many a time say, I believe we're in confirmation, not disclosure.
Yes. I agree with you. I think we're at confirmation. And the reason why I say that is because Trump was interested in the issue. He met with those on the UAP task force. They briefed him about the UAP task force investigations. He had another briefing. He received a memo, recently, as of like 3 months ago, about this issue. So he's obviously getting reports about it. And I think the thing that's most interesting is we're hearing that he's getting briefed on it while he's a president, where that's not always the case. Now, with Tom DeLonge and the whole Clinton perspective, new president, and McCaslin helping TTSA, like all that was not open. The most that we got at that time was that, Brian Bender was going to get a question to Hillary Clinton about UAPs when she was running, when she was on the campaign trail. So and then we found out about all these emails and everything happening with Tom DeLonge through WikiLeaks. So it was all after the fact. So I think it's not necessarily angst, but he's been briefed. He's aware, he's on the record about it. And now he's been saying, and after his fight with Obama, he's saying, well, I'll do this since he didn't. So I think it's almost like not angst, but a point of pride that he wants to do something about it. That's what I think.
I would say it's about that too. Then why not just come out and say it? Why not give my fellow Americans speech?
Have you seen some of the comments by people like, some of the reporters have said that he's getting pushback, and Grush has even said, I believe, on the record that he's getting pushback from people in his own administration about this issue. So he might come forward and be more forward in public about certain things, and then there's this pushback within his administration. So there's been multiple people who are saying on the record that he's being challenged not to do disclosure from within his own administration.
And you see, that's where I think it could benefit the UFO community, because he likes being the tough guy. He likes being the man on top. And if somebody's trying to, kick the pedestal that he stands on, he doesn't like that. And he will fire back, which means we could actually get more.
There is a lot of criticism about Burleson's recent statements. He's the other one I didn't mention, but Burleson is another one who's engaged in this issue and it is heavily involved, obviously, with David Grush in his, camp, helping him along the way. That's one of his best assets. But Burleson has been out there saying that Trump is the disclosure president, and he's gotten a whole bunch of feedback from people saying this is not exclusively a Donald Trump thing, that, even under the different administrations, there was efforts made that Chuck Schumer was one of the people that co-signed on one of the major bills, which was the UAPDA, that Gillibrand out of New York helped set up the UAP task force, and Arrow's office, good or bad, she was involved with that. So it's like all these people who have been involved with these efforts really take umbrage at the fact that Trump's being called the disclosure president when they feel like they were the forerunners of a lot of the legislation anyway that was adopted to help move the issue forward. So it's a group effort. He's moving in the ball forward, but there's been a lot of other people that have helped along the way. So I think that's some fair criticism.
We have about a minute to go before we have to go to break at the top of the hour. Courtney Marchesani is our guest tonight on Spaced Out Radio. Where this goes next, we really don't know. We're hoping that we get more videos. We're hoping that we get less dots, as we like to call them on the videos. We're hoping we get more pointed information. The next leak hopefully comes out soon. That's what we're going to get into, because we don't know how many leaks there's going to be. We don't know how many pushes on drops, I should say, not leaks, drops there's going to be, Courtney.
Yeah, leaks would be like if Jeremy Corbell actually releases his 7-hour recording of conversations of unequivocal evidence of UAP. But that is highly unlikely considering he could be prosecuted for where it came from. The drops are supposed to include the 46 videos that Luna has requested in writing. Then there are additional files Arrow has said in the past that they have some videos, but they can't release them because of how they're shot. So there's this issue that's come up about the technology in which these videos are being shot on. And that's one of the things that hold it back.
Courtney Marchesani, we have her for another hour on Spaced Out Radio. Where do we go from here in the UFO world? This is Spaced Out Radio with host Dave Scott. All right, Court, we got about 5.5 minutes. We're going to play a video here, okay?
Okay.
Our merch is Bigfoot approved. We have t-shirts, we have mugs, we have hoodies, we have socks, we have hats, we have stickers, and so much more. Whatever you're looking for, we have you covered. Why just be a fan of the paranormal when you can buy Spaced Out Radio merch and look the part? Our merch ain't ugly, folks. Check out the Spaced Out Radio store. Find the link in the description below.
Lurking within the forested region of the 108-mile ranch, where the worlds of the normal and paranormal collide. CaribouCon is waiting for you, bringing together a panel of renowned experts in the paranormal, cryptid research, and UFO phenomena fields. Get ready for a spine-tingling weekend in the heart of British Columbia. Enjoy fascinating discussions, presentations, tours of local haunted areas, and skywatching. Learn from investigators, authors, and enthusiasts who explore everything from ghost hunting techniques to sightings of Sasquatch and beyond. Whether you're a seasoned paranormal researcher or just love a good spooky story, this is your chance to connect with fellow enthusiasts in one of BC's most mysterious areas. Tickets are on sale now. Grab yours before they're gone. Visit cariboucon.com for details, tickets, and updates.
Are you ready to dive into the weird and wonderful world of cryptids, cartoons, and chaos? Meet Dirty Filth, Spaced Out Radio's resident cartoonist and master of the mysterious. Every Saturday at 2 p.m. Pacific, join him live on the Spaced Out Radio YouTube channel for Cryptid Cartoons with Dirty Filth, a hilarious hour where he sketches bizarre beasts, shares mind-bending stories, and battles his mischievous cats. Whether you're a UFO enthusiast, paranormal fan, or just love quirky art, Dirty Filth filters the universe through his unique lens, creating cartoons that capture the strange, dark, and supernatural. Follow Dirty Filth on X at Filth1 or Facebook at Dear Filth for more filthy fun. Find his link in the description below.
Spaced Out Radio wants to hear from you. We love our community, and your voice truly matters. Drop a comment after every show and let us know what you thought. Agree with our guests? Tell us why. Disagree? We want to hear that too. We read every single comment. Jump into the live chat during the broadcast and be part of the conversation in real time. Got a killer topic idea? Your suggestions help shape the show. And if you want to take it even further, join our Patreon for bonus content and direct feedback opportunities with Dave and the team. This is your show as much as it is ours. Whether you're a longtime listener or brand new, we want your thoughts, your questions, and your ideas. And let's keep building this incredible community together. Spaced Out Radio, where the conversation never ends. What are you waiting for? We're listening.
With 5 explorable Gold Rush era buildings said to be home to spirits of a time forgotten, the 108-mile heritage site in the heart of BC's Caribou region offers a unique opportunity for thrill seekers and history buffs. For an evening of historical fun, step into our guided ghost tours, where spine-chilling stories of Gold Rush legends and unexplained encounters come alive. For those craving even more, inquire with us about conducting a hands-on paranormal investigation of your own. And if you're truly brave, book our haunted sleepovers. Spend the night at our B&B inside the McNeil House to truly experience this historical landmark and its ghostly secrets firsthand. For booking or inquiries, go to haunted108.com.
It's so spooky, scary, good. We got a ghost tour coming up this week's weekend, so I'm pretty pumped up about that. Let's give a quick shout out to Crystal Cat. How you doing? Nice to have you back. And did I miss anybody? Tina C, how are you tonight? Thank you for joining us. Thank you to our super chatters. KJ, really appreciate your love. And Pam, thank you for the love as well. And greatly appreciate it. We're going to get going here in about 10 seconds. Let's bring Courtney back in. There she is. A whole number hour with Courtney. And here we go, everybody. We are into hour number 2 of Spaced Out Radio tonight. UFOs, what now? Why now? Coming up with Courtney Marchesani momentarily, but first we want to say hello to all of you listening in on our terrestrial affiliates around North America, digitally on every major podcast network, our website, spacedoutradio.com. We have a plethora of features for you. Rock out to Bumblefoot, read the Newswire, check out our swag as well. Follow us on X at Spaced Out Radio, Instagram at Spaced Out Radio Show, and on Patreon in the Space Travelers Club. The Desert Clam has set the password for tonight in the SOR Space Travelers Club. UVID. UVID is your password. Use it wisely, Space Travelers, as the Clam sets the password each and every night right here on Spaced Out Radio. Let's bring in Courtney Marchesani. She's an author. She's a researcher. She is someone who is very involved on the inside of the UFO community, has her eyes and ears and hands on what's going on in the UFO world. Courtney, we're glad to have you back. Thank you for being here.
Thanks. Thanks for having me back.
Where are we going with this? I think that's the question. I mean, we're waiting for drop number 2. Let's start off with that. According to Anna Polina Luna, where you're supposed to get 46 new videos that she has requested. The one thing that I am interested in about these videos that caught me off guard right off the bat, even in the first batch that were listed in the first drop, was how many of them were filmed in non-American places, war zones in the Middle East, Southern Europe, Africa,
Syria, Greece.
Yeah, why are we going there instead of the United States?
I don't know. I thought it was an interesting trend in that first drop that it wasn't, anything like the Nimitz. It was recent, last year, 2 years. At most, it was back to 2020, I believe. The farthest back was 6 years. So I don't know why we're getting stuff from the Middle East or Greece. There was a lot from Greece. There were like 5 videos from Greece. And I was just thinking to myself, this is so interesting. Like, why are we not seeing something over Hawaii, or Alaska, where we have so many sightings, or California? I think California is the state that gets the most. So yeah, all international. Very strange.
we have heard leading up
I
to
do
this.
not have a theory. I don't have
No,
a
no,
theory about that. Do you?
no, it makes no sense to me because leading up to this, Courtney, all we heard about was incursions over military training facilities,
Right.
incursions over military bases. Okay, we
Right.
didn't even hear about
Ramstein,
absolutely, the base in Texas and other places, in
El Paso.
Ohio,
Yep.
and many people believe there were these incursions, the New Jersey drone swarm. Okay. The fact that they haven't
Langley.
Langley again. Okay. We're having all of these happen, and yet all the videos we get are from out of country. It just does not make sense as to
No.
why these ones would be the focus.
No, because we saw during the New Jersey drone, flap or incident, however you want to call it, incursion, there were people taking videos with their phones, and then Nightcrawler, those guys, the Tedesco brothers, were out there doing studies on Long Island with their rig, and they found some interesting, you know, lens, type of what did they call it? There was a certain effect that they found that they were working with a Canadian researcher on. So we know there's novel information coming through in our own country and from citizen scientists. So why not disclose, or why not drop some of those into the first round? It's bizarre.
It's completely bizarre. And it really doesn't make sense as to why they're going down this angle. It's almost like they're trying to steer it away from everything they have been talking about, even in the congressional hearings.
Yeah, well, for a while, the big issue was the NORAD, and disclosure movement was like, why isn't NORAD releasing more of what they have? And, there are all these different comments about how they had all these different signatures and then they tightened up. Remember, there was that whole initiative for them to tighten up their sensors. And then after the balloon that came over, the Chinese, spy balloon, then there was this initiative to increase sensor data. So they were reading more because they weren't reading enough in our sky. So it's been a progression of multiple years of increasing data, NORAD reporting more, increasing sensor sensitivity to read more in our sky. So we know they have, more data and more files. So maybe we just have to wait and see, and maybe more of it will come out in the second and third drops.
We can only hope that it's going to happen. But with these videos, what do you think is going to be the reaction from the public if out of those 46 videos, which if you read Anna Polina Luna's list that she put on X, the majority of those are once again out of country, a lot of Syria, a lot of Afghanistan, not the United States, which goes against what she had been saying in the congressional hearings and in the media and on social media.
Well, if we're to take her at her word and Burleson and Burchett at their words, their collective words, these things are so extraordinary and out of sight that they are going to unequivocally prove, they cannot be denied, that they're US tech or Soviet or Russian tech or, any other kind of Chinese tech, that they are NHI, period. They're so extraordinary that they're going to prove to everybody. And so that's why they're pushing for them to be released. Now, I have seen so many things been said and promised, and this is going to be incredible. And it just kind of falls, you get crestfallen when you get the buildup and then you see what it actually is. So I once again am like guarding myself against that, but they seem to believe and have high hopes that when these things get released, it's going to be a deal breaker, that people are going to see it, believe it, and know that NHI exists. So I'll wait to see, but that's their claims. That's what they're saying about these 46 videos.
Well, apparently there was one video with, I think it was Tim Burchett, mentioning that is a close-up of like your classic flying saucer, and you can actually see the beings inside.
Well, that makes me think of like I've said this before, and I know you know this because we've been in the same spheres having these discussions, but it makes me think of Danny Sheehan at the Madison building when he was getting access to some of the Project Blue Book files, and he saw this crash saucer in a field with snow, and he saw the writing on the side of the craft. And so that kind of thing, that kind of statement makes me think about old Project Blue Book files. And there have always been these rumors that we're going to get that's what disclosure is going to be, that they're going to declassify some of the classified files, and that's what we're going to get. So I always have that in the back of my mind, like maybe this just going to be a Project Blue Book's redo, like redone, but I don't know. I think that they're talking about different material, different records, different videos. We'll see. We'll just have to wait and see. But there is that out there, the Project Blue Book, declassification.
What happens if all of a sudden, out of these 46 videos, and we haven't seen them yet, but what happens if they're just a bunch of dots again that look like satellites flying across the sky?
People are going to be so PO'd if that's the case, and they're just going to throw in the towel completely and say this was a complete waste of time, a waste of taxpayer dollars, a waste of setting up these committees and coalitions and all of it. If they can't stand on the claims that they're making, then people are just they're going to be done with the issue entirely, and they're going to call it a farce. That's what I think. So they better be good.
I hope they're good too, because I really believe that we need something more than just a game of Pong type videos, Courtney. I mean, like that's really what it's turning out to be here.
As I said, Arrow kept saying in their public statements, their public facing stuff, like we can't release our most intriguing stuff because of how it was shot, because of the technology and how it was captured. So it's like, how can they seriously say that to us, that they can't show a smaller screen capture of whatever they might have versus saying we can't release it because the technology is classified? It's the same thing they said about the files. The files and the way this stuff is categorized and classified is classified, like the system that it's recorded on. So it makes you think of things like, immaculate constellation, of how Matthew Brown is talking about that AI system, right, that classifies all these different anomalous objects into different categories and SAPs so that people don't see it. So I think that these are things that are like red tape that could hold things up. But once again, even if all we get is the 46 videos, if they're as fantastic as they're saying, the Secrets Task Force is saying, then that should be enough without everything else. That's kind of what I'm taking from the whole situation, how they're building it up. So we'll have to wait and see. But those are Arrow's excuses why they haven't been able to release what they have, because of what it's shot on, and they don't want to reveal their technology. So that's interesting.
How much of this do you believe in these videos is American technology? Example, there was the one video that had like the 8-pointed star, people were calling it, but in the background you could see something of like a shadow of a parachute or something along those lines. And I really looked at that, and I had one informant that I have message me about that and said, that's ours. So this is where we get into the UAP, not UFO dilemma.
I think that the parachute and Mick West debunking that, I tend to follow Mick West's, assessment of that. He said he had analyzed it, assessed it, and it was a parachute. So I took that at face value. I thought that was probably ours. I saw the Ukraine images that were released recently. And once again, it looks almost like parachute-like, similar to the other one. But I'm going to wait and reserve judgment and see more information on it. I think a lot of it is ours, to answer your question, because of conversations that we've had, things that you've seen on, materials and stuff from history. I mean, we've had advanced technology for a long time that we are keeping secret because it's national security. So I think there is, I would say 50-50. And I know that's a large percentage, but I've come around to a lot of it being ours.
So is that the roadblock then? And this is where we get into the debate of UAP versus UFO. Is that the roadblock, that they're just giving us a bunch of videos of our technology in order to throw us off the scent?
Well, because of the release and the way certain things were released, you could see that there were some things that were definitely historical, that they were taking care to make sure some of the historical things were in the files, like the twinning memo. We had seen the twinning memo in the citizens disclosure briefing packet, right? So we knew that was there, but then you see the mirror image copy that the government has. So it's interesting because I think that they took some great care on the historical stuff, like the Cometa report, Carol Rosen's letter, but then there's other things like the fake document. Did you see that was found in the files and taken out? So there are some things that kind of creep through that should have been checked, and that makes you think that it wasn't as comprehensive and there was maybe a little bit of sloppiness. So I think because of that reason, some of the videos might have, not have been scrutinized as much as they should have.
What do we need in the second drop? Outside of those videos, the 46 that are allegedly coming, what do we need?
We need high quality video, not this grainy stuff, where you're just seeing these blips. I mean, you and I are used to looking at that stuff for years and years, and even kind of giving up on some of these videos because it could be anything, right? So they need high quality videos. The next generation military grade videos that bring it up close and get you that really nice granular image and video, and audio too would be nice. That's what they need.
I'm wanting more notes. I'm wanting more stories from astronauts. I think that somehow NASA has to continue to be called out on everything.
Yeah. I would love it. I've told you this in the past.
Sorry,
I would love it if NASA, I was just saying, I've told you this before. I would love it if NASA released, some of their files and that was included. But as you saw, there was no CIA, NRO, NGA. All those were left out. There were no CIA files.
I didn't see any CIA.
No CIA, no NRO, no NGA.
No Department of Energy,
files.
No military files.
Right. So that's what we need. We need those other departments to open up and release some of what they have. I mean, it was Jay Stratton who said that some of these groups and some of these agencies have their own special forces devoted to things like crash retrievals. And we've long heard that about the CIA. I mean, there's a whole field of study about their crash retrieval program and their modern, counterproliferation weapons division, which holds the whole legacy program within it. So we need to see some of that history to back up all of that in the next couple months. Yeah.
Definitely. I would say that What about other agencies or Area 51? What would it mean to get something along from other agencies or secret bases like Area 51?
Well, it's Area 51 is so interesting because as I understand it, there's like these jurisdictional issues, like the Navy and the Air Force and how they work together or once again compete against one another and what AFOSI does versus naval intelligence. So, yeah, it would be fascinating to get some of those old videos and documentation released of the AFOSI investigations at Nellis and the 1994 craft. And yes, that would be compelling. It would be the same as like seeing the Apollo missions and their transcripts and their videos being released from NASA that back up what we've read or what other people have seen in like Timothy Good's books from years before. It would totally corroborate. It would be a corroboration of all the stories that we've heard and seen, and it would bring some truth to it. So yeah, heck yeah, I would like to see Area 51 documents and videos and all that get released. That would be huge.
I think I think they need to open up where some of this is going on. I mean, what is Lockheed Skunk Works talking about? One of the difficult parts that we're going to have as far as getting this information is the government can literally come out and say we have nothing and could be telling the truth because it's all in the hands of private contractors. If that is the
Redstone
case,
Arsenal. Yeah, Redstone Arsenal is coming back up again as one of the companies that has, a lot of information, data, and science, and that it would be the epicenter of disclosure. Now, Amy Eskridge said that many years ago, and it's come into prominence now again because of the missing scientists and people who have disappeared or threats or people who have passed away, right? So she said that a long time ago, and now it's coming back up that Redstone is going to be at the heart of all this. So, yeah, I think that there will be some pressure. I think that some of those groups or corporations will want to release some of what they have to show how competitive they are and have been, and that their science is kind of on the cutting edge. So Lockheed definitely, Skunk Works definitely will, I think.
they're not going to release their videos or information, though, even though, once again, the Congress people have been pointing out that, hey, we need to start targeting these companies and see what they have. And I believe there has been a letter put out by a couple of politicians asking them for what they have on the subject. I don't see those letters being returned because they're private companies.
I think they will. But I think the pressure is on them. I think because the contractors have received government funds in the R&D and the IRAD money. So they will be asked, and it will totally depend on the legal aspect of what they have to show and intellectual property and what royalties they have and what it's all going to get down to the legal fine print of what they will be required to share through disclosure. But that was all being brokered years ago. Danny Sheehan talked about it, that they wanted to hold on to their rights. They wanted to hold on to their intellectual property and all the money that they stand to make or lose if they have to give it up through disclosure. So that's what that'll hinge on. Money, sadly.
And how much
So
money
messed
will
up.
that check be?
It's so messed up.
We got about 40 seconds. Courtney Marchesani is our guest tonight. We have her till the top of the hour here on Spaced Out Radio. When do you expect the next vault of information to drop?
It's supposed to be in 30 days. That's what they've said. People were expecting it like a week at a time or whatever, but they've come out and said the 46 will come out in 30 days and then another 60 days. So 30 days from that and then 90. So 30, 60, 90. That's what David Grush said.
30, 60, 90. Well, that's a little bit slower of a timeline than what many of the politicians like Luna are saying. in regards to this. So we can hope that it does get sped up a little bit there. Courtney, I'm going to get you to hold on. Hard to believe we're already through an hour and a half of tonight's show with Courtney Marchesani, author, researcher, experiencer of the UFO phenomena, and somebody with eyes in the deep parts of what's going on behind the scenes in the UFO world. That's why we love to bring her on Spaced Out Radio. We have Courtney till the top of the hour. We'll be right back on Spaced Out Radio.
You're listening to Spaced Out Radio with your host, Dave Scott.
All right, we are clear.
So I watched Sleeping Dogs,
Oh, yeah?
and David Grush says in there, let me get it, write it down for you. Are you ready for this?
Sure.
There is a whole part of reality that the federal government, its private partners, and other nations around the world have denied humanity knowledge and participation thereof for the last several decades. And I'm of the generation that has seen our parents and elder siblings and friends go to war over what? Listen, I think it's time for a new era to begin, especially because, we're not alone. And this universe is teeming with life, and that life is already here, and we can openly interact with it. So when he's saying publicly that we're going to have this tough transition period, or there's going to be some hard truths, I can't exactly remember what he said, but it was going to be kind of rocky. What do you think he's talking about?
That's a good question.
What's the hard stuff? Yeah, well, what's the hard stuff that we're going to have to adapt to before we can get to that message?
I think it's religion. I think that I think we're going to learn that they've been here a long time, that they aren't violent, that there's so many questions, that we probably have a lot more technology than what we could even imagine.
Yeah, I wanted to ask you because that got in, my head, and I was like, when he says that, it makes me think something bad, I immediately go to it's going to be a tough transition, or there's going to be some hard truths, right? Some bitter truths. What could that be? Anyway,
I think
I wanted to share that.
I think what we're looking at is probably a complete change in what we believe. I think, and Anna Paulina Luna kind of alluded to it a little bit. She tweeted out a couple weeks ago, all she put on there was the Book of Enoch.
Yeah, it's religious. I know. And I've heard that from behind the scenes, that what we're going to get is a religious thing. And then, of course, I saw the pastors come out and say that they were told that it was interdimensional, and, that all kind of got debunked. It wasn't a government meeting that they were invited to. It was like an ad hoc group of people, and they clarified, thank God. But, in hearing it, and then in hearing that so soon after hearing it was going to be religious, I was like, okay, this is it. It really was a war of the world thing for me, where I was like, if this is it, what are the ramifications, the consequences? How is it going to change everything? So I really did go through the paces with that, because I was like, oh, damn. This came back fast because I heard it was a religious, disclosure. And then the pastors came out and I was like, okay, the intel is good.
We got about 45 seconds. Thank you to our super chatters, KJ and Pam, tonight. If you haven't already, take the time to give us a thumbs up. We'd greatly appreciate it. It helps with our algorithms on places like YouTube, Spotify, iHeartRadio, iTunes, so on and so forth. And you can shop at our Spaced Out Radio store. We do not have ugly swag, people. No ugly swag. Melanie Bell, welcome to SOR Chat. We appreciate you coming on in. Devin J, nice to see you. The Fifth World, nice to have you here. Goot, nice to have you here as well. And I love the name, Goot. Tim F, nice to see you. Here we go, everybody. We are into the second half of Spaced Out Radio tonight. My name is Dave Scott. So glad to have you here as we bring in author, researcher, ufologist, uapologist. No, we'll call her a ufologist instead. Courtney Marchesani, welcome back to the show. We appreciate you. We were talking about where we go next in the UFO world, and you're quoting David Grush. And you also mentioned something very interesting during the break that, there are a lot of people wondering, what is the big secrets? You mentioned Jeremy Corbell's latest movie. You have just seen it. Maybe go into that statement because I think it's important for our radio audience to hear.
Do you want me to read the whole statement or do you want me to just...
Sure.
Yeah.
Read it.
Okay. I'll read the whole statement. So this was David Grush in Sleeping Dogs, the movie about Jeremy Corbell, talking to Jeremy about, I'll just let his words speak for themselves. There is a whole part of reality that the federal government, its private partners, and other nations around the world have denied humanity knowledge and participation thereof for the last several decades. And I'm of the generation that has seen our parents and older siblings and friends go to war. Over what? Listen, I think it's time for a new era to begin, especially because, we're not alone and this universe is teeming with life. And that life is already here and we can openly interact with it. So I pulled that out of the movie, and there's a lot of other great quotes, but it really speaks to this next level of unknown, I think, right? There's some unknowns. You're talking about what's coming next. And I was saying to you during the break, paraphrasing something that David Grush has said recently on the media rounds, where he's basically said, we're going to have some uncomfortable realities coming our way, some difficult truths, like a difficult transition period as disclosure drops and what it really is. And I was also saying to Dave, just to recap for the audience, that I had heard that this was going to be a religious themed disclosure. And then after hearing that, I heard about the pastors meeting like the next day or the next successive days. And I was like, oh, wow, that was fast. So we were just kind of wrapping all that up and where do we go from here? And I do think there is going to be a religious aspect to this that people might not be comfortable with. That's my answer to the unknown and what's coming next. And that's based on what people have said, who know whistleblowers and insiders, including Congress staffers and other people working on this issue. So I was kind of warned, me personally, like, look, this is going to be religious. So heads up. And I take that and put that in my hat. And I think there's some part of that that is true. So that's my guess. I think it's good. I think it's good word of mouth on that part, that there's a spiritual or religious component. What do you think? Are you still holding steady with your signal? You believe there's a signal and they're going to confirm the signal? I know you said that a couple times.
No, that was just a theory. I just thought it was a smart theory that they would do, in order to try and kind of push the topic back under the rug. If they were smart, they would use my idea. So for any of the agents and agencies listening in right now, how you doing? Give us a call sometime. You already have the number. Just call to say hello. But use my theory, okay? All you have to do is say we found a signal somewhere deep in space. It's over. The whole UFO thing will be over for a long time. That's my theory. But
Javi
I
Lowe might disagree and then agree and then disagree and then agree.
yeah. Of course, though, I think it does come down to religion. And what it could come down to, just to kind of, throw a little theory on this. I'm not going to say conspiracy theory, but just a little theory on this. Maybe it has something to do with the missing books in the Bible. Because over the years, the Bible has been edited and written and rewritten numerous times since the original, Old Testament. And, I mean, I think, and I don't want to go down this because I'm not as educated on it as I should be, but it is a dangerous slope when you start talking religion. And it's almost as dangerous as talking politics these days. And I do believe
that's the old rule, right? Don't talk religion, politics, or education in mixed company. It's a cliche because it's so controversial.
Absolutely. But I do believe that it probably does have something to do with religion. Anna Polina Luna recently tweeted out within the last couple of weeks, Book of Enoch. That's all she put on there.
Read the Book of Enoch. Yeah.
So, I mean, what does that mean? What does that actually mean? Is there something in there that we're missing that has been taken out of the King James version of the Bible? I mean, that's really what it comes down to.
I think we've heard this in other conversations about angelics, right? And the celestial order and the creation of the universe. And I think when I heard the pastors come out and this sound clip, that short clip where one of the pastors was saying they're going to say they're interdimensional. They're going to say there is no God. They're going to say that NHI exists. The NHI created us. I was like, oh, wow. I was really responding to that, like, just after hearing that religion is going to be a big part of this disclosure. I was like, oh my God, is this really it? Is it the interdimensional hypothesis that we're going to be, foisted? That's going to be foisted on us. So I thought it was really responsible that the same day, and maybe this was totally coincidental, but David Grush came out and he talked about that there are a lot of different theories, that there are a lot, and it kind of grounded all of that and made it make sense again. So I think that's what disclosure is. It's going to be a series of missteps, misinformation, wrong guesses taken as serious, and they're going to have to continue to come out and continue to like stabilize whatever they're doing and saying, no, that's not the only reality. There's other theories, because that made me have a huge relief when David Grush came out and was like, no, it's not just angels and demons. It's a bunch of different theories. So that means they still don't know, or he's not saying at this juncture.
I would agree with that. It's like they're putting us in this choose your own adventure book. Remember those when we were kids, the choose your own adventure books? That's what this
I love those. I love those.
I love them too, but this is real life choose your own adventure right now.
Yeah, no doubt. No doubt. And the waves of conspiracy around, all these different topics that are taken so seriously by conspiracy theorists, it's just, the proof is in what will come out, and not in what we believe or what our theories are. So we just have to wait. I hate to say that, but we just have to wait and be patient and not buy into things that are not true. And I was grateful the pastors came out and cleared all that mess up very quickly and spoke about, what the meeting actually was and who was there. And yeah, there was a meeting, but it wasn't portrayed like we saw on the internet. So that was a good learning lesson.
I think it is a good learning lesson as well. When we move forward with this, at some point it's going to come up about more congressional hearings. With the files coming out, do you believe we are in need of new congressional hearings to get into the swing of things from these eyewitnesses or people of power? Because I think if they're going to do more, and this is just my opinion, Courtney, they need to bring bigger and better people into these. People who can actually bring some actual testimony about the cover-ups, about MK Ultra, about UFOs and crash retrievals, and names and places. Like with Matt Gaetz saying a few weeks ago on the Walter M. Sterling show on Other Side of Midnight on WABC, where he stated that there's up to 14 bases where this alleged alien hybridization programs are going on, and we're kidnapping people from third world countries and war-torn countries in order to breed them with these aliens. If that's
And
true,
I've seen some of that. And I've seen some of that material, not about the breeding program, but I have seen some of that material about the child like psionic program and how they take people from third world countries and they use them as psionics in an actual program. So, I've been wondering that myself. I also wonder, because things changed about a year ago, Chris Mellon had come out and said they only want firsthand witnesses to testify because of past hearings. And I don't know if Lou Elizondo's NDA about the crash retrieval program had anything to do with that, but they said they only wanted to have firsthand witnesses. So I think it's been startling to see that Matthew Sullivan, who was a firsthand witness to reportedly back engineering of craft, and David Grush talked about him before, and so did Jake Barber. He was a friend to both of them. In Sleeping Dogs, in the documentary, David Grush talks about how he was a friend and he was working in this program. It was common knowledge. But David Grush also said that these guys would disappear from the job, just disappear. They were working in these programs and they just vanished. So I do think those kind of things that he has witnessed, that other people have witnessed, firsthand witnesses, not only of back engineering, but what has happened to those people, needs to go to Congress. I think that has to be the next step because of the seriousness of it, the threats and intimidation whistleblowers are talking about, and the people who have vanished or disappeared. That needs to be addressed immediately with Congress now. They can't hold back anymore.
The holdback is what? Because that can mean a whole bunch of different terms.
Well, I mean, McCasland, right? He worked at Wright Pat. He was over, very specialized programs. He was, connected with Monica Reza, and that investigation is supposedly happening. He was a hostile witness. He wouldn't come in, wouldn't respond to calls from Congress, and then he disappears. Now, was it because of continuity of government, like some people have talked about? Did he just walk away because he didn't want to be involved in testifying? Those kind of things I think need to be illuminated, the reasons why.
I like that theory. Where's the aliens in all of this? Because a lot of people want to know what's with the alien part.
I think we're going to get what NHI means, what NHI is. I think that, I know people disagree with me, but I think that's what we're going to get. And maybe it's going to be under a religious umbrella, what that is, or what they believe it to be, or one hypothesis. But I do believe we're going to get NHI and what they are and disclosure. I think that's about to happen, which would, to me, mean disclosure. Maybe not full disclosure, but a type of disclosure, because they've never admitted NHI. Certain people have talked about it. Certain people in compartmented programs like Eric Davis has said these are the different types. That's very different from the government releasing evidence of it. So I think that's going to happen. I do believe that.
All right. Do you think then that when we go through this process, are we years away from having that alien talk again?
Do you mean the alien talk of what is alien or what is NHI, or the difference,
Yeah.
like the differences, or
Where's it
what do you
coming
mean by the
from?
talk?
Where's it coming from? How long has it been here? How did they get here? Are they time travelers? Are they dimensional? You know, we look at, say, Dr. Michael P. Masters, who calls them, what does he call them? The I forget what
Future
term,
humans, the
the
extratemporal model.
extraterrestrials or something. Yeah, the extra temptation island terrestrials or something like that.
Hold on, I'll get it for you. Somebody looked this up for me recently too.
Extra tempestrals or ultra tempestral.
Yes. Yes.
Yeah.
I think that they might not give us exactly who they are, but I think they're going to give us examples of their reach into our reality, if that makes sense. And then I think they're going to provide some evidence, and then they're going to let us think about it before we have another conversation. I don't think they're going to come out and say it's the extra tempestrial model. I don't think that's going to be the conversation we're going to be having. I think they're going to provide some stuff, and then we're going to have to decide. I think that's how it's going to play out.
I think it will too, but I don't think we're going to get, and people shouldn't be prepared for any sort of alien dialogue, you know, that we're communicating with the alien species that are working on the dark side of the moon, you know, or on Venus or Mars. You know, I mean, recently we did have it where they are talking about how they found microbial life on Mars. They want to make sure what it is, and could this mean that life is being sustained on the planet right now as we speak? I think it's going to be a little bit more than that, but I think that's what they want to protect. Good question here from Super Crazy. And at first I thought that this had nothing to do with disclosure. And then I kind of watched, like, you know, how can I put this without sounding like an idiot? Steven Spielberg was on X. I saw him on X earlier today, where he was basically, you know, fawning over the whole timeline aspect with his movie coming out about how people are going to react to disclosure. And this guy either holds a lottery ticket with everything that he does, or I'm starting to think, you know, tighten up my tinfoil a little bit. And trust me, people, you need tin foil, not aluminum foil. Aluminum foil will not protect you. You need tin foil. Try and find it. But I'm starting to wonder if there is anything to this thought now that this movie was meant to be released because he maybe got tipped off the UFO files were coming out.
No doubt. There's no doubt. I mean, how can you dispute the time frame of his release? It's the same thing as Dan Farrow's movie, Age of Disclosure. I mean, that movie was designed to push a government disclosure. So they designed it that way. They had the Sissy committee, you know, approve it, all those whistleblowers and government witnesses were allowed to be in that movie to push disclosure. So that fact alone means that Spielberg was hedging his bets. He knew that his friend and, associate and former producer of a film he worked on was doing a disclosure type movie and the impact that it had. So he was probably hedging his bets a little bit. It was a good bet. And I also think he's definitely getting inside information from the CIA because we know the CIA works with Hollywood. We know they do. So they're running their own numbers and scenarios. And many of the people that were, asked to come into Age of Disclosure were CIA. So he knew. He had to at least have a high percentage confidence value that it would happen. If not this summer, then next.
That is very, very interesting indeed. And once again, I didn't think anything about this. I was telling our audience publicly, don't put two and two together. Stop trying to make up things where there is nothing to be made up. There is no there, Courtney. And now I think I got a little bit of egg on my face. Not much egg, but some egg, because he just can't hold that big of a lottery ticket. I mean,
No, there's no way. It's not like Sherlock Holmes says, a coincidence is a clue. The coincidence of him coming out with Disclosure Day while disclosure is happening is too big of a coincidence to not be an actual clue that he was clued in by multiple people, probably Dan Farah about his, movie and disclosure and what that was meant to do. And then obviously insiders in the CIA and the deep state. There's no doubt. No doubt in my
Stargate
mind.
wants to know, why doesn't Bob Lazar testify?
I think it's because of the various problems with his story. He said that Edward Teller hired him or put him up for the job. And that's one thing that has never really been confirmed. He also said that he went to MIT and got a degree in physics there. That was not true. So I think there are some problems with his foundational, and I don't know if that was part of his cover story for where he went to work at S4 or what. But because of those discrepancies, I think they taint his image a little bit. But, some of what he has said has been materialized and been realized. So you can't take that away from him, but it's everything around him. Plus, there's some criminal history, his criminal history, his ex-wife's criminal history. I don't think those things are good when you're going to testify to Congress.
I would agree. And a big shout out to one of our listeners, Doomer. Daddy from X, thank you for the shout out. I agree. He says, Courtney Marchesani, bar none, the absolute greatest UFO journalist in the galaxy. Great citizen journalist that she is. You're are only getting limp disclosure, confirmation. I love it.
There's always has to be a reference to a penis or some other anatomy or something sexual. Doomer. He knows how to get attention, but true. Very limp.
Love it. Very limp.
We just got to take what we can get, even if it's limp. I'm sorry to say.
Devin is asking, we got about a minute to go. Isn't it obvious already that aliens live on Earth and have bases in the ocean?
Well, I think that was the premise for James Cameron's movie Abyss, if you've seen it, and it's one of my favorites and made my father cry. So, yeah, I think that's been fairly obvious to the artists and the filmmakers. That was done in the 90s, early 90s, and now we have unidentified anomalous phenomenon because that includes transmedium in the water. And we know that under the water, these objects are moving at 200 miles an hour, which is impossible. And our sonar is the only thing that can pick them up.
All I'm going to say about the movie The Abyss Ed Harris, one of the stars in that, who actually went deep and got picked up. If you look fast forward 30 years, that man is a time traveler or an immortal because he still looks the same. That guy doesn't age. Courtney Marchesani, thank you for coming back on Spaced Out Radio. We love it when you're here. We'll talk to you very, very soon. Swamp Dweller and Grant Baker for the weekly Weird
You're
News.
listening to Spaced Out Radio with your host, Dave Scott.
Amazing once again, Courts. Thank you.
Thanks for having me back.
Go enjoy the rest of your daylight that you have for another hour and a half.
I'm going to take my my dog out for a walk. So I'll see you next time.
Okay, we'll talk soon. I gotta fill you in on some stuff too.
Sounds good. I'll be around. Right. Give me a call.
Later.
Later.
Stop now! You're under arrest! Hands up! Don't move!
Don't get caught without your Spaced Out Radio merchandise. We have t-shirts, mugs, hoodies, socks, hats, stickers, and so much more. Whatever you're looking for, we have you covered. Why just be a fan of the paranormal when you can look the part? We don't have ugly merch, folks. Check out the Spaced Out Radio store. Find the link in the description below.
Dirty filth. Dirty filth. Dirty filth.
Object is heading north 045 degrees. It's definitely not a plane. It seems to be tethered to something. Is that a banner, Joe? Caribou Con. Does anyone know what Caribou Con is?
Caribou Con, one of the BC Caribou region's best-kept secrets. Until now. Join our panel of renowned paranormal experts for a weekend of fun and intriguing presentations. Go to cariboucon.com to book or inquire now.
Over here. Look at this.
Discover Spaced Out Radio on all your favorite platforms. We're live every single night with the best in UFOs, cryptids, paranormal, and the unexplained. And you can find us on all your favorite platforms. Head over to Instagram for behind the scenes and daily weirdness, TikTok for quick mind-bending clips, Facebook for community discussions, and X for real-time updates and hot takes. Wherever you scroll, Spaced Out Radio is there. So go search Spaced Out Radio on every platform, hit follow, and turn on notifications so you never miss a single episode. The Weird is waiting. See you there.
The McNeil House is one of several buildings at the 108-mile heritage site said to be haunted by spirits of a time long forgotten. But would you stay the night? Along with guided ghost tours and paranormal investigations, Haunted 108 is offering a chance to spend the entire night inside the historic McNeil House by booking one of our B&B style sleepovers, where you can experience the hauntings firsthand, meet the resident ghost cat, and witness unusual activity. If you dare to turn history into a night you'll never forget, book your spot now at haunted108.com. Spots are limited. Will you be brave enough?
Thank you so much for waiting for us here. Let's bring in the Grantavius Maximus. There he is. Hat backwards. Hold on. I'll match you. I'll match you. There we go. We got 30 seconds. Thank you to Pam and KJ for the super chats tonight. Greatly appreciate your love and support. Also, thank you to everybody who has given us a thumbs up. It really helps with our algorithms on YouTube, making us more popular each and every night. So thank you very much. We appreciate it. Swamp Dweller will be about 4 minutes, 9 seconds. And we'll get into the weird news and it'll be good. It'll be real good. We're coming back in 3 seconds, everybody. Here we go with the third and final hour of Spaced Out Radio tonight. My name is Dave Scott. We have Swamp Dweller and Grantavius Max filling in for a partying Terry Hall tonight down at McMinnville, Oregon for the big UFO event there. But first, we want to say hello to all of you listening in on our terrestrial affiliates around North America, digitally on every major podcast network. Our website, spacedoutradio.com. We have a plethora of features for you. Rock out to Bumblefoot, read the news wire, check out our swag as well. You can follow us on X at Spaced Out Radio, Instagram at Spaced Out Radio Show, and on Patreon in the Space Travelers Club. The Desert Clam has set the password for tonight in the SOR Space Travelers Club. It is UVID. UVID is your password. Use it wisely, space travelers, as the Clam sets the password each and every night right here on Spaced Out Radio. Let's head to the swamp.
Hello and welcome to Spaced Out Radio's Swamp. I'm Swamp Dweller, and tonight I'm going to take you on a mystic journey of the unknown, sharing tales of monsters, legends, and nightmares. Welcome to the Spaced Out Radio Swamp. We take our 2 dogs outside to their kennels so they can get out of the house for a while and run and play. These are not small dogs. One is a black lab husky mix, and the other is a full-blooded Staffordshire Terrier, or a pit bull. The kennels are placed at the edge of the yard near the woods. These woods are oversized, large enough to take a day to go hiking through them. Lately, when it gets dark, the dogs seem on edge. They will bark and whine toward the house to come in. At first, I thought they just wanted to get back into the house, but now I think they're actually scared. 3 nights ago, when I went to get them, it was already pretty dark, but we have a security light, so it's not like it's pitch black or anything. I got to the front of the first kennel and noticed both dogs were absolutely silent. They constantly bark at me excitedly when I go to them, but they are dead silent this time. This weirded me out a little, but not to the point of being scared. I will admit that there was a certain uneasiness in the air though, something I can't quite explain. But it's sort of like an electric feeling, like I was about to be shocked. The longer I was there, the more uneasy I felt. I started getting out the first dog, the lab, and heard a heavy snap in the woods near the kennels. I froze. The dogs froze. By this time, I was so on edge that if someone had spoken, I would have jumped, screamed, and possibly ran for my entire life. The creepy feeling in the air just kept getting thicker. The lab had put her bushy tail stuffed underneath her and was whining. This didn't make me feel any better. The pit bull was as far away from the woods as she could be, whimpering for me to come get her. I can only take one dog in at a time because they get too excited and sometimes try to fight, so I avoid that at all cost. I felt so bad leaving the pitty there by herself, but I had to do it. As I walked away, she barked this high-pitched whining type of bark at me that I had never heard her do before. The lab could not get to the house quick enough. I went back for the other one and dreaded every step as her door was to the base of the woods. I would have to turn my back to the woods to open her door and get her out. As I approached the kennel, the air felt heavy and stale, with an unpleasant smell like a dead skunk. Another snap and I was ready to run for it, but I didn't want to leave my dog, who had her head defensively facing the woods. I could barely make it. It felt like trying to walk through water. I was terrified by the time I reached the door. I heard heavy breathing behind me as I got my dog out. He was scared, but started growling behind me. I was frozen in place. The breathing continued for at least a minute before I heard steps coming toward us. We both took off at the same time. A terrifying scream came from the base of the woods. I didn't dare look back. I just ran. My pity pulled me back to the house. I got in, flipped off all the lights, and stared out the window at the woods. I could see something moving slightly, but just out of my sight. It moved back and forth about 5 times, then disappeared. It took me forever to fall asleep because I was so scared that every little noise freaked me the heck out. The next night I went to get the dogs earlier. Right around dusk, I thought all was good until I was getting my pity out. A very loud snapping sound rang out as a tree branch had just been snapped in half. It sounded far away, so I hurriedly got my dog and started walking toward the house. A few steps from the kennel, I heard something big that started charging toward me from inside the woods. We ran again, which appeared to follow for so long, then retreat. Now, every night since then, I hear sounds coming out of the woods like branches breaking and being thrown around, knocking on trees and roaring. I am terrified. I no longer take my dogs down there. I take them for walks instead during the day and make sure we are all in before dusk. I don't know what to do. I'm thinking about buying a gun, but I'm not sure it will help.
Thank you, Swampy, for another spooky story. If you want more just like that, head on over to YouTube, type in Swamp Dweller, hit subscribe, ring that bell. Thousands of stories for you to listen to each and every night. So go check them on out. Now, filling in for Terry Hall, who's out partying with the UFO boys at the McMinnville UFO weekend in Oregon. Here's Grant Baker.
Staring at the stars tonight. There goes shining in the sky. Grant's got the stories breaking through. What's hidden now comes into view. From distant lights to secret clouds, mystery stretched for miles and miles. Latest news, truth revealed. Every signal slowly peeled. So tune in close, don't miss the facts. UFO facts, we've got your becomes a song.
There he is, UFO Max, hanging out with us, Grant Baker. It is always good to have you here. A little bit different because normally we're doing the UFO report with you, but tonight you're filling in on the weird news of the week. So thank you for coming on in.
Absolutely, my man. It's my pleasure. You know, Terry having fun down at up in McMinnville for me, down for him, and no, this is great. He's filled in for me for a few times, and now it's my turn to pay it forward, pay it back.
I appreciate that. We're going to start off with a weird one here because one of the people who has been very unapologetically anti-UFO has been Neil deGrasse Tyson,
Oh,
the famed scientist who all of a sudden with the UFO file drop, he's eating a little crow from people about the fact that, he's been so negative and staunchly skeptical about the UFO subject. But now he has a new article out. And I figured we'd do some eye rolling here for a little bit. Astrophysicist Neil deGrasse Tyson, renowned for his ability to demystify the cosmos, has revealed a lifelong personal fantasy to be abducted by aliens. Far from fearing such an encounter, he actively desires it. I even picture the scenario in my head. I'm sitting out there all alone and a beam of light comes down, he says. It's not a spacecraft that's hovering over me. It's just a beam of light from space. And I just get lifted up into that beam of light and I appear in a new place. This enduring fascination is now culminated in his new book, Take Me to Your Leader, Perspectives on Your First Alien Encounter. Much like the hypothetical beam of light he describes, the book aims to illuminate our understanding of potential extraterrestrial life and prepare us for what might happen should they ever make contact. Tyson, who directs the Hayden Planetarium at the American Museum of Natural History in New York City, believes there is a significant value in such contemplation and contemplation. Even if it doesn't actually happen, there's value going through the thought experiment of what could happen. Maybe there's some takeaways that offer insight into how you think about the world, how we think about each other, and future civilizations. Released this week, his book offers a unique insight into the prodigious intellect, showcasing his distinctive talent for blending complex quantum physics with accessible pop culture references. It seamlessly weaves together ideas from evolutionary biological Stephen Jay Gould and the animated series Rick and Morty, alongside philosophical concepts from Voltaire and lyrics from Katy Perry. Yeah, like we need her in there. She's an astronaut. Oh, I don't like Katy Perry anymore. She was once on the list, but now she's gone since she's gone to the dark Trudeau side. Oh, that just bugs me. Absolutely bugs me. But what do you think about this? I mean, this guy has literally, been a thorn in the UFO side when, as a scientist, you would expect him to be a little bit more open-minded. He's trying to show that in his new book. So are we seeing Dr. Jekyll and Mr. Hyde of Neil deGrasse Tyson when it comes to UFOs?
so if you watch all of the previous anything that he's ever said when it comes to science, he is more like a Hollywood scientist, kind of like Bill Nye the Science Guy, except Bill Nye, I think, is a little bit more open about different, thought processes when it comes to the universe. And in fact, it's been used before in media. He's said things about it. But Neil deGrasse Tyson is a very polarizing individual. He does not believe in UFOs. He's a scientist, pure at heart. If you cannot have a control and you cannot prove it, it does not exist. Well, there's a lot of things that I don't know and haven't seen in real life that everybody tells me exist. The Eiffel Tower, I've seen pictures of it. I don't know that it exists, but it almost sounds like you get these UFO files dropping from the government, and now he's writing a new book. Is it him just trying to go with the flow and being like, okay, well, I guess we're going down a new chapter in life, no pun intended, or is it a money grab? I don't know. I take that man with a grain of salt. There are a few things that he does that I do enjoy watching, like when Mr. Savage goes on the show and he's got some aerogel and shows it to him. Things like that are kind of cool. But when it comes to the UFO, I just can't listen to the guy, and it's just absolute nonsense to me. But we'll just see what happens with him, where he goes, if he actually opens his eyes and takes the blinders off and maybe follows along with everybody, because what we're seeing is real and it's everywhere, and there's a lot to be had there. So for him to go against the grain for as long as he has, much prefer him going with us on this one and actually using the education that he has and his mind that he does have. I mean, he's obviously a smart individual, but if we can just gravitate towards using those people with those types of minds and pushing the ball forward, so to speak, it could be a good thing for us at the same time.
Well, let's see if he starts to open up his mind a little bit more, because in the end, whether you like Neil deGrasse Tyson or not, he is a face that really needs to be open-minded.
Yep.
You know, he's the type of person who could be a face of the franchise. And if he jumped on board and actually paid attention rather than just giving wild opinion without actually investigating it, we might be a little bit further ahead in the popularity of this, and more so the knowledge that he could pass on.
I couldn't agree with you more.
All right, let's get to the weird news of the week. I want to start one off here in British Columbia for you, because apparently we have a problem with outhouses here.
Oh, no, I'm afraid to ask.
Yeah, apparently we do. We actually have some outhouse outlaws running around British Columbia. Here's the story. A snowmobile club in British Columbia's North Okanagan is trying to find out who has been vandalizing their backcountry outhouses over the last several years, including a recent incident of apparent gunfire. Over the last dozen years, the Hunters Range Snowmobile Association has fundraised and built 3 wooden outhouses for backcountry users like themselves to use while they're out on the trails. Nothing fancy, just a simple place to poop, just in case you need to. And they're all outside rustic campsites. However, all 3 burned down, according to association president Justin Evans, who believes this was done intentionally. The area is heavily used by partiers, and these outhouses have been, I guess, part of the fun burning them down. So the group fundraised again and applied for grants to install a $25,000 concrete facility, a larger accessible outhouse that couldn't be burned. They had to put it up 2 years ago, and for 2 years there was no problem. But now Evans says it appears that it has been damaged. The cement one, I mean, it's like where this is, you know, the 3 little pigs. The first one gets blown down. The second one, well, now we're into bricks here. And apparently it's been damaged by gunshots. It just looks like somebody with a really high-powered semi-automatic gun, which are illegal in Canada, by the way, semi-automatics, decided to use it as target practice, I guess, and really blew up the side of it pretty bad, Evans said. Evans goes on to say, it's crazy to think how a gun could be doing that kind of damage to concrete, but it was some massive chunks, some big damage for sure. The BC Conservation Officer Service says it's aware of the situation. The most recent vandalism on the porta potties is particularly unsettling, Evans says, because the Snowmobile Association is in the midst of planning for its 50th anniversary. And where are the partiers going to poop when all of a sudden nature calls? We want to go looking at a new exciting thing that we're trying to do and maybe plan some fun things for the anniversary, not trying to figure out how to repair a damaged outhouse that we just put up. A few companies and individuals, including Evans, have offered cash rewards for information about the incidents, but Evans said he wants to whoever responsible to just do the right thing. We're definitely not a vengeful group, but you know, this is not for profit. We're all volunteers here. We're just trying to keep the area going and continuously improve, making things better. Go up there one evening and do a little repair for yourself, and we'll forget about the whole thing.
Wow. All over an outhouse. That So whoever's in that group of snowmobile riders one of them must have made someone a little upset. I mean, that's about all I can think of. And I was actually unaware that you guys weren't allowed semi-automatic weapons.
No, hunters and sport shooters are being punished really hard up here right now.
Oh, that's not good news. I'm sorry about that.
No, it's not good news, but that's for a whole different conversation because Dave's an illegal gun owner.
Shh, we don't know anything like that.
Bought them
No.
legally, 100% legal when I got them, but now not so much.
Well, you're a very responsible individual. I'll forgive you. I got a really bizarre one for you.
Yeah, please.
So I don't want you playing the video or anything because I don't remember if I said any choice words in it. But before the show, I'm sitting here. I'm actually watching you on my big screen,
Right.
and I'm upstairs. I got a 2-story house that's massive. I'm about 30 feet away from the wall where my TV's at, and I hear what sounds like fighting. And I'm like, what in the world? And it goes from the grass, and it's on my side of the fence. And all of a sudden, I hear bump, 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 like banging on my walls. And of course, nobody's awake but me right now. Not, and the dog's in a whole different room, so I didn't hear him pop off about it. And in the scuffle, I could physically hear down the wall. This it sounded like people were rolling around downstairs on the grass. Went onto my back deck, and of course, you know me. I can't leave well enough alone, but I can barely walk. So, and it's another, what, 25, 30 feet away to where the back window is. So I grab my flashlight and I hobble over and I'm trying to figure this light out real quick to get it working. And all of a sudden, it just lights everything up and it shined out the window before I could get to it. And I hear running. And I'm like, okay, what in the world? So I go to the window and I took a video of this. And whatever it was that was in the backyard is now in one of my trees. And so I'm shining the light, which is doing its flicker thing. Finally, I just hit it, and I get my camera out, and I'm shining the light out there, and I see these little like golden globes in the tree, and they're moving, and I'm like, what in the heck is that? And I'm watching them, and they're all over. There's one way up here in a different tree. There's two that were kind of next to each other, and they would almost side glance me. And then I started making some funny noises. And finally, at the end of the video, I had one pop up. And I haven't actually zoomed in on it to figure out what it is. I suspect it's raccoons. But if they're raccoons, they were the biggest darned raccoons I have ever heard in my life to make that kind of noise on my back wall. I mean, it sounded like a full out bar brawl with screaming and screeching. And it sounded like two women fighting and the amount of screaming that they were doing, but there was no words. It was just yelling like and I'm like, what in the world? And I'm thinking, did a couple transients walk this far out into the country and come to my house deciding to fight in my yard? I couldn't explain it. So maybe if you can zoom in on one of those and post it up for any of the listeners to see on your website or something, and we might be able to get down to the bottom of what it was in my backyard that was having a little tough and tumble.
That's kind of creepy, dude. Maybe you got some aliens running around there.
Man, when I heard that noise, it was ear piercing loud, and the windows open so I could hear it audibly. And it didn't sound like any critter I've ever heard. It was screaming. It was like a high pitched woman's voice screaming, and that's why I had to get up. And I'm like, what in the world's going on? And then as soon as the light hit the window, bam, they ran, and it wasn't like heavy footsteps, but I could hear the scuffling of trying to get away, and then getting into the tree, and that's when I started seeing they whatever these were have eyes that reflect flashlights. I can tell you that right now. And that's why I suspect they were probably raccoons. And our raccoons around here decide, I mean, they're just like, we call them trash pandas, but they're as big as a panda. And so it could be raccoons, but it scared the living daylights out of me for a minute there. And I got video proof of me making noise, and they looked at the camera of the phone, and you could see their eyes. And I sent that to you. You'll have fun going through that one.
And the eyes were golden color.
Correct.
There's not
Not
a lot
like
of not a lot of cryptids who have golden colored eyes. It's usually an animal.
Yeah. Yeah, it's got to be an animal of some sort, but there's a few of them. And there's the only thing I could think is I didn't hear a whole bunch of. That's the reason why if two raccoons get in an argument, I've heard them screech at each other a little bit and yell at each other and kind of tuss and tumble. Whatever this was bigger, but I don't know. Unfortunately I didn't get to the window fast enough to catch these things on the back deck because they were going at it on the back deck and it was making a lot of noise. It'd be like me and you wrestling around on the back deck is what it sounded like.
Well, I don't want to wrestle you. Grant Baker, weird news of the week. Coming up next, the final half hour of tonight's show.
This is Spaced Out Radio. Your host, Dave Scott.
These Webos, welcome to SOR Chat. Don't forget to hit subscribe and ring that bell if you haven't already. And we're caught up with people. Look at the Maximus there. You're a disappointment. You shaved your mustache again.
Man, dude, I got a whole bunch of interviews I'm going.
You know
They're
what?
all-
I'm going for a haircut and a beard trim tomorrow. I'm thinking of bringing my beard right down, but keeping my mustache, because the one thing that I've learned is my mustache hair is starting to grow on the sides.
Oh,
and that means I'm close to waxing.
yes. That'd be epic. It's funny because you say that, and both my brothers have grown mustaches in the last couple of months, and they're sticking with it. That's all they got is mustaches. I'm the only one out of the family right now that doesn't have one.
I'm disappointed in you.
I know you are.
Yeah.
Oh, look at you go.
I may keep the mustache, man, just so I can start to wax it out.
Killer.
How wicked would that be?
I'd be jealous. I'd probably have to grow mine out.
Mm-hmm.
There
Look at
it
that
is.
badass look right there, dude. Look at that. You can't see it right now, but that's actually, yeah, that might be the new look that I'm going for.
You get a little longer and you do the curly Q.
Mm-hmm.
Man,
Absolutely.
you're sexy, Dave. I'm looking at you on 75 inches of high definition, and man, it's good looking.
What are you saying? That I look fat?
No, you look good. Sexy
Yeah.
Dave.
Nicole Sackett says we need a sexy Dan update.
Oh, that man is pretty wild right now. So he's doing the good daddy deed, but he works 7 days a week. So he has week on, week off, and he does 12-hour shifts 7 days a week, and then comes home and then works on his yard and his house, and then doesn't really talk to anybody at the moment. He's just really trying to work on himself and kiddos and just hanging out.
I'm gonna be honest with you. I don't rate a lot of men, but Dan is sexy.
Oh man, I mean,
he's a good-looking dude. What is he, like 6'4", built like a brick shit house?
6'6", yeah.
Yeah.
And he's been working out for the last 6 months, and he's a powerful looking man.
Yeah.
I can't take him to a bar. I might as well at that point. Yeah.
Like, I have been around a lot of dudes in my life, and very rarely have I ever been in a situation where when women walk by him, they kind of give that smile gawk.
Yep.
And they're almost bumping into their friends and everything. And oh my God, look how good looking he is. That's sexy Dan.
Yep.
Sexy Dan is, he's smoking hot. He really is.
Oh yeah. And what's funny is he's so demure about it. He's like, whatever, man. I don't know about that.
Yeah.
And I'm like, dude, I've seen your list. Oh goodness.
Good old sexy Dan.
Yep.
He's fully recovered now, eh?
For the most part, yeah. And he's just getting back to his old self finally. And mentally, it was a lot of mental. I mean, it beat him up. Obviously, you fall 200 feet out of the air in a helicopter, and they were all lucky to be alive. And but mentally, he had some PTSD that he wasn't really sure how that was going to pan out because he didn't really believe in it before. Now he does, and but he's worked through it. And he's like, now he's getting to the point where he's not drinking so much, and he hasn't put on any weight. He's losing weight and getting back into his fit form. Damn dude should be a Superman. I mean, he's got it. It's wild.
That's why we call him Sexy Dan.
Yep.
Right there. Call him Sexy Dan. Tell him we say hello.
Oh, I definitely will. Definitely will.
Mm-hmm.
I got about 8 stories for you here that you're going to get a kick out of.
All right. Well, we're coming back in 30 seconds.
All right.
River Dog, that hurts. Sorry to say, you look like a hockey guy with no team in the playoffs. You know what? That's going to get you a middle finger. That's what that's going to get you right there. That gets you a middle finger there, River Dog. You son of a... Right there. You're lucky the show is starting. Here we go. We're into the final half hour of Spaced Out Radio tonight. My name is Dave Scott. And we have Grant Baker filling in for Terry Hall on the weird news of the week. Grant, I know you got some stories piled up. Let's hear them, my friend.
So we got a really interesting one, and this happened going to Portland, Oregon. So this was in my state. They started out in Atlanta. A very pregnant Ashley Blair boarded a Delta flight from Atlanta to Portland, which is awesome, at about 38 weeks. Now, I'm surprised she even got boarded because I think they tell you not to go on a plane when you're pregnant. But by landing, she was a mom. Passengers, there was 2 passenger paramedics, Tina Fritz and Karen Powell, delivered baby Brielle Renee Blair on the plane. With limited supplies, they used passenger blankets and shoelaces to tie off the umbilical cord. Mom pushed a few times, the baby pinked up quickly, and everyone, including Mom, was a rock star. Fire rescue met them at the airport, and all were healthy. But talk about an in-flight special delivery. And there's pictures on the web that you can go see. They're very happy. And I believe they're still in the plane on that picture.
My goodness.
Could you imagine? Oh, my God.
I hope the plane wasn't packed. I hope they had room.
Well, I mean, in that case, they're going to make room. I mean, you have all the men in the plane probably just kind of took off to the back and said, "Yeah, we'll leave you alone." And she had plenty of help. So we got, it's cute though. I mean, it really is a neat little story. You know, the baby made the first, I don't know how many people were born in a plane, but I mean, that's got to be a very low percentage of people.
Right.
So we move on next to Rebecca Woods, 59 in Massachusetts. The headline said, "Woman unleashes attack of the bees on eviction officers."
What?
Yes. A Massachusetts woman, Rebecca Woods, 59, was convicted of assault and battery after she brought hives of bees to disrupt the eviction of an elderly cancer patient friend. Officers got stung repeatedly, one hospitalized, and Woods lost around 1,000 bees in the chaos. Some crushed, some stinging and dying. Her lawyer cited Woods' own eviction experiences as motivation. She got 6 months in jail. Bonus, in a separate Arizona incident around the same time, 2 men were swarmed by a massive moving black cloud of angry bees, possibly a migrating swarm, and had to be rushed to a hospital in a fire truck while firefighters picked bees off of them. That's horribly painful. But to unleash bees on police officers, wow.
Who does that? Like when you're thinking about revenge here, who says I'm going to go get a swarm of bees?
I don't know. I I have it. That thought has never crossed my mind. I mean, maybe going up and asking and saying, "Hey, can you guys not do this?" As an elderly person, and maybe trying to talk some sense into somebody, but to full out just, I mean, did she get like a different account or something, whatever it is, against her for every bee that stung the police officers? I mean, I'm surprised she only got 6 months for that. To be honest with you, that's something else.
Well, I
But
got
on,
something here for you.
yeah,
You know how all of these humane societies and animal adoption agencies, especially dogs and cats, they're always trying to build up that one dog or cat that just will not get adopted for whatever reason, right? They take cute pictures, they'll put eyeglasses and a necktie on it, paint the nails, whatever it may be.
mhm.
Just let the dog be a dog. They're not human. Okay. They are not human. One of my pet peeves, and I know I'm going to upset people with this. One of my pet peeves is when people call pets fur babies. Don't like it. They're not human. Yes, they're part of the family. My pets are part of the family, but they're not fur babies. They're animals. Sorry. Dave
Oh,
101, part 2
you're,
right there.
you're good, man. Because when you say fur babies, it reminds me of Furbies, and I do not like Furbies. They creep me out.
Exactly. Exactly. It's a pet peeve of mine. Like soccer.
Well, let's talk about some escaped animals then, because Ohio had
Well,
a.
hold on. Hold on.
Oh,
I
go
got to
ahead.
get to this story first.
Oh,
Man, you're like rushing me here. Hey, I'm the host here. Well, let's go to the Humane Society for Tacoma and Pierce County in Washington State because they say they are now reviewing their policies and taking responsibility after a dog being showcased for one of their adoptions at the Tacoma City Marathon fatally attacked another attendee's pet. The incident happened on Sunday, May 3rd, near the finish area at Dune Peninsula at Point Defiance Park. The dog involved, identified by witnesses as Dallas, was reportedly wearing an Adopt Me vest and was accompanied by a Humane Society volunteer at the time of the attack. A spokesperson says the dog had previously been adopted out before being returned to the agency's care on May 1st, just 2 days before the marathon incident. Photos shared online showed a bystander comforting the volunteer while others helped restrain the dog. The Humane Society later confirmed was classified as dangerous following the attack and was euthanized. In a statement posted to social media, the Humane Society said it was deeply sorry for the harm caused and acknowledged failures in its oversight and safeguards. You think? And you know the worst part about this story is the dog is going to be blamed for the dumb of the human.
Yep.
Okay, they say we take full responsibility for understanding how this happened and for addressing any deficiencies in our processes, oversight, and safeguards. The safety of the animals entrusted to us and the broader community must come first. And in this incident, we did not meet that standard. No kidding. No kidding. The agency says it's begun a full review of how dogs are selected and managed at offsite public events. Did you ever think that maybe the dog has social anxiety after not having a home and not being treated very well by humans? So you take it to a marathon where there's nothing but humans running around getting the dog's anxiety up? I'm no dog psychologist. Okay. I don't even play one on TV, but I could tell you that. And yet, once again, the dog will be blamed. Not the dog's fault. Not the dog's fault at all. So, yeah, dog getting blamed for stupid human events. And now they're saying, we're sorry. What do you think is going to happen?
that's upsetting to hear. And you know, it is the ignorance or the mistake of the humans in this particular incident. And you know, when a dog is returned to a humane society very quickly, there's obviously something going on there. And they should not have just said, "Oh, well, he's back. Let's take him. We all know him." Well, you might know him because you've been around him, but he might not be ready for society. And there's just a whole string of unfortunate and misguided decisions made there.
Mm-hmm. Like, I'm a dog guy, dude.
Me too.
I love dogs. We have one guy in town, good friend, Luke is his name. He rescues senior dogs. Okay. And he's got 10 acres and he's building, it's going to cost him like $200,000 to build a dog shelter at his home. And he's very, very particular. Like, he deals with problem dogs. Okay. And he drives around in a Ford Flex that has 5 dogs in it at any time. And I'm one of 3 people outside of him that can put my hand inside that vehicle without getting bit. Because those dogs love me. I love dogs. Dogs love me. I'm fortunate that way. Not all dogs. I mean, there is some that are a little cranky because I'm a little quick. I'm like, my non-fur baby, you know? Right? But yeah, man, dogs, you got to know dogs. You got to know their temperament, what they like, what they don't like. I mean, I'm not a dog trainer, man, but the one thing that I know is a dog will tell you how it's feeling. And if it's not your day or doesn't like people or strangers or whatever, it's going to let you know. All right, I got another one here. And I'm going to say this is probably the dumbest thing I've seen on the internet in a while. It's dumb. Let's go to Belgium. Contestants faced off in the annual Belgian coastal town of Depan this past Sunday for the annual European Seagull Screeching Championship. This is a thing which brought together more than 70 participants seeking to produce the best imitation, or I will say irritation, of the bird's distinctive shriek. Competitors from 15 countries took part in the 6th edition of this event. The contest, which took place in a local pub, because you got to be drunk to sit through this, drew participants from all ages, including families with children, many in seagull-themed costumes because they have no life. Each screech was met with cheers from the crowd. The jury could award a maximum of 15 points for how well the contestants imitate the seagull's sound, 5 points for performance. The event, which has become a tradition, aims at changing the image of seagulls, often seen by the public as intrusive. When you're on a holiday, you always remember the waves of the sea and the calls of the seagulls, Claude Williard said, the event's organizer. So be positive about them. You're getting humans to shriek. Like somebody has put an elastic band around their cojones and they're shrieking. There's nothing fun about this, Grant. Nothing.
No. And you know, I was going to say until you said it, there has to be alcohol involved in this. There just has to be. And it's just one of those goofy things that probably 2 drunk guys started doing, and maybe a couple of their friends were trying to judge them, and it just turned into a thing.
Probably exactly what happened. Give me one, Grant. Make it good.
Oh my gosh. Well, I don't know if I could beat people screaming like birds, but there was a Taiwanese woman who got in trouble, and this is just completely absurd. She was a 19-year-old woman. She tried to board a flight with 30 protected Indian star tortoises worth about $9,000 strapped under her clothes using adhesive tape and cloth bags. So the authorities got suspicious of her movements. She had 30 tortoises taped to her body. and they discovered the live cargo. She's actually facing quite a few charges, and officials are probing possible links to a larger smuggling ring. The tortoises were rescued, though.
Man, who does that?
Oh my gosh.
Seriously, who does that?
Like,
wouldn't you be afraid that they're going to bite you?
Well, I don't know how she was transporting them, and they were probably in bags that taped to her body. But I mean, people do strange things for money, and everybody has a price. I don't care what it is. Everybody has a price for something.
Well, that is absolutely terrible. Speaking of women trying to steal things.
Uh-oh.
Let's go to Traverse City, Michigan, where a woman is accused of stealing alcohol, first by drinking it in the store, then putting it where the sun don't shine.
Oh, no.
It happened over the weekend on the 600 block of West Front Street. Police say the 48-year-old woman was caught drinking a bottle of alcohol in the store over the weekend. She was brought to Munson Medical Center for treatment. The next day, police said the same woman went back to the same store and allegedly decided that she was going to steal a bottle of Chardonnay. You could imagine she was wearing a dress. Employees later stopped her, but they couldn't find the wine bottle. So when police arrested her again, they found the bottle of wine in jail.
Oh, no.
And I'll leave it to your imagination and tell you it wasn't magic. The bottle just didn't disappear and reappear, then disappear and reappear, then disappear and reappear. I'll leave that to your imagination on how she smuggled the bottle out. But nonetheless, the woman is being charged with 2 counts of retail fraud, 1 count of smuggling, and 1 count of trespassing. All that because she wanted to get liquored up. Imagine that.
That's
How do
horrible.
you even follow that? But who does that?
That's desperation at its finest. And when I come across stuff like that, that's when I know I've had too much internet for one night.
Are you sure?
I'm pretty sure at that point. I mean, that's too much. That's desperation at its finest.
I wonder if she had any Mel WD-40.
Oh God, misses him a lot. Oh man, that's too much. Here I am talking about wolf photos and AI and first being banned for pushing monkeys, and you come out with that.
I'm telling you, it's the weird news of the week, my friend. Like, this is stuff you cannot make up.
No, I think I'm looking at my algorithms wrong because I don't come across that kind of stuff. Is this on?
We'll get you going. We'll get you going. Not a problem here.
Yeah, there's and speaking about drunk women, there's actually a warning in France that happened on the 13th. And I cannot pronounce this. I do not speak French. I know if I showed it to you, you could. It's Sion et Lior, France. Police issue an unusual alert to drivers. And the alert was beware, and this is a quote, of drunken deer.
Oh, God.
So, and other inebriated wildlife stumbling onto the roads. So somehow these animals have been feasting on fermented fallen fruit. And they're leading to really wobbly and really unpredictable behavior. So the classic French wildlife drama meets spring fermentation, I guess. And they've issued warnings to drivers to watch out for drunk deer stumbling into the road.
Have you ever seen a drunk deer?
I've seen drunk squirrels, and that's it. Not deer.
I have a Chinese cherry tree just outside of HQ here. And every day I watch the deer eat the fermented cherries that have fallen from the tree. And they keep coming back to the point that when they get up, because they've eaten all the low-hanging fruit, they're now having to go onto their hind legs and look like literally a not deer walking through. And then they fall because they're drunk. And then during the day, all of the little birds come in and you see them literally flapping on the ground because they're too drunk to fly. It's hilarious. I keep growing that tree. I should trim it, but I keep growing that tree because the more cherries that fall, the more entertainment I get come springtime before it starts to bloom. Oh, it's great.
Oh, you should be one of those people that takes just one of those cameras that can stream live over YouTube, kind of like what other channels do, and just let it run. And people can, like the Serengeti and the watering holes with the the antelope and whatever it's out there. You have the drunken deer and forest animals at your door.
Speaking of accidents, I want everybody to look this up. In British Columbia recently, there was a motorcyclist that was speeding down the highway or one of the main roads. He was cut off by a vehicle that was turning. We didn't see the motorcyclist. Motorcyclist hits the vehicle. He goes flying, and his bike goes flying as well. You're not going to believe where the bike ended up. The bike ended up on the light standard, right beside the street lights that go red for stop, yellow for yield, and green for go, like 20 feet high in the air. That's where the bike ended up. How that guy lived and how that bike ended up there, it seems next to impossible. But I highly suggest people go check that out. That was absolutely weird. Never seen a video like that before.
So I never watched the video, but that motorcyclist hanging on the streetlight pole, the stoplight, that had come across my feed a few times.
Yeah.
And I kept looking at it, and I'm like, dude, how do you get a bike up there? Like,
yeah. How do you even get it down?
Oh, I don't know.
You need a crane. You absolutely need a crane. You can't lift that down.
No, it's going to be over 300 pounds easily.
Absolutely. Grant, thank you for coming on Spaced Out Radio, filling in for the lovely, the talented, and the mustachioed Terry Hall. We will talk to you again tomorrow night for the UFO report, because Grant Baker is a man of diversity when it comes to this show, as we say hello to Mr. Ron Bumblefoot Thal, rocking in the background with Little Brother is watching. Bumblefoot is the official music of Spaced Out Radio, rocking us in and out of every single show. Get your horns up for the guitar god himself. Special thanks to everybody listening in at work, at home, in your cars, wherever you may be. Thank you to everyone in our chat rooms tonight. YouTube, Twitch, LGAP, Facebook, Spreaker, LinkedIn, the Space Travelers Club, and on X, hashtag Spaced Out Radio.
I know you're
Remember, this show is copyright by Spaced Out Radio and Bigfoot Broadcasting Limited. Thank you so much for choosing to share your evening with us, because together, my friends,
we're watching.
We own the night. Mr. Bumblefoot, we need a favor. We need you to take us home. Yes, the Woo Train has docked for the night, but soon, my friends, we shall ride again. Your seats are always available. Your tickets never expire. And if you want to bring a friend, we've got room for them too. Good night, everybody. Good job, Grant Baker. Good job.
Same to you, my man.
People are going to like you for that.
What's that?
I said people are going to like you for that.
Oh, yeah. Dude, I'm literally watching the video now of that. He hit a BMW. Holy mackerel. That poor bike. I'm glad the guy's okay.
Yeah, no kidding. It's an ugly accident, man.
Yeah, that's kind of wild to look at. Holy
Very
mackerel.
ugly. All right.
Go-
In a minute or so, my phone is going to ring from WABC in New York saying, hey, are you ready for Walter M. Sterling? Yes, I will be ready for Walter M. Sterling. So you can go. Paramarv usually posts the link below. And I believe it's you can go to the Red Apple Audio Networks, or you can go to whatever link right there. I knew Paramarv was on it. I swear this guy has him pinned on his screen to put this somewhere. God, he's good. So good. All right. WABCradio.com. Go check it on out. Juliana McGill, nice to see you. And yeah, make sure, if you haven't already, to hit thumbs up, hit subscribe. Tomorrow night on the show, which is all of us here, we are going to be joined by Damian Cross, personal ET contact. That's what we're getting into. We're getting into some aliens tomorrow. Enough of this government crap. Let's get into the aliens. You want aliens. I want aliens. Let's have some aliens tomorrow night. Thank you to our super chatters, Pam and KJ. Remember, it's a great way to support what we do nightly here on Spaced Out Radio, and it supports the team as well. So we'd appreciate that. And to the rest of you, we will see you tomorrow night. Grant Tavius, thank you very much. Come on and join me at WABC with Walter M. Sterling. We'll see you tomorrow.
Stay healthy, my friend.
You too.
You need bail money, give me a call.
Always, Dad. Take care.
You too.